and I'm going to be the facilitator for the day. And just to inform us that this meeting is being streamed live and it's being recorded. And as we start, I just want to make a rider that we are all trainers, and I'm here to just moderate because I believe all of us are not very new to some of these strategies. So we are here to learn from each other. So kindly feel free to share your experiences, to share your ideas. And like I always say in adult learning, there is no wrong answer. All answers are right. So to kick us up is just a question, and I would want to pose it and ask you guys, what is your expectation for today's training? At the end of this training, which has two models, so we have model 1 that will be handling today, and the next model will be handled in next week. So what is your expectations? So I hand it over to you guys and tell me what are those expectations that you'll be having as we interact today. Can see we have Mweni, Judith. Judith, you can tell us.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My expectation in today's training is probably just to see the importance of team building in a company and ideas that can help HR managers spearhead the team building area in our respective institutions.
Thank you, Judith. Importance of team building and getting ideas that can help us as HR professionals to be able to implement effective team building strategies. Thank you very much. Any other expectation? Someone else, Mweni? Anyone else would want to share with us their expectations? In case you want to make a comment, you can also put on the chat. We can also interact via the chat. So based on that, and thanks so much, Judith, for sharing expectations, and I believe most of us share with the expectation. So I'm just going to go ahead to my presentation. And have a look at a summary of the objectives that we intend to achieve. And I believe that our expectations will be met by the objectives that we have. So the first objective will be for us to understand and explain what is a team. I'm sure this is a terminology that most of us use. We're also going to list the differences between a group and a team. And maybe from here, we'll be able to see where do we confuse the two and where do we lie. Get to understand the characteristics of a team and ask ourselves, what is teamwork? Teamwork is a word that is used. Yes, please, someone would want to say something? Kindly, if maybe you can mute. So the other objective, that is a fourth objective, is what we'll be asking ourselves and getting to understand what is teamwork. Then we're going to see that there are various team models, which are going to describe and discuss them. There are also some various types of teams. We'll explain the stages of team development, very important. Then finally for today, we will look at the list. We list the effective team management skills. So that gives us an end of module 1. Then for next week for module 2, we start by explaining what is team building. We shall describe the team building exercises, explain what is a team contract. We'll also now list the rules for participation and communication. We'll explain the role of a team leader in team building. And very critical, sorry for that. And very critical is that we will understand and explain and have a discussion on why teams fail. Because all of us as human resource managers, we have the task of ensuring that the people agenda in an organization is well managed. But you find some teams fail. So we're going to have a very, very productive interaction discussing why do this team fail and what can we do to avoid this fails. Then the last one is that we'll be explaining how to prevent the fallout in a team. So my dear colleagues, that will be our course objective. And like I said, we'll have it in 2 models. So the first model is today, and the second model will be next week. So if you allow me, I just want to ask briefly, when you hear the word or the term team, what comes to your mind? I'm sure there's a team that we hear very often, especially in HR. We always talk about the teams, the HR, the finance team, the HR team, the sales and marketing team. But what is that team? What comes to your mind? Anyone who want to volunteer? Like I said, we're here to learn from each other. Lydia, what comes to your mind when you hear the term team?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, for me, a team, I would say, especially in our setup, in the workplaces, it's a group of people who are working together. They're working towards a common goal. They have kind of related objectives. This is what they want to achieve at the end of a task, or at the end of the day, or they have a goal they really need to achieve. So they're working together.
So it's a group of people, a team that are working together towards a certain goal. Thank you very much, Lydia, for that. Anyone else would want to add something? Yes, go ahead. Welcome. Those who are coming in, welcome. We've just started. So Mary, what comes to your mind when you hear the term the term team? Mary or someone else would have a different explanation or a different view of what comes to our mind when you hear the term team? Mary, something to say? Or Mweni? There's also Jeremy. You're free to say. And like I said, don't shy off. This is Aldot Learning. All answers are correct. So kindly let's share so
right.
that.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning.
The participant who earlier on explained what the word team is, I want to agree that he's almost correct. I think mine is just almost the same. When somebody talks about a team, we are talking about a group of people, most likely who are working together, and they must have a purpose why they are working together, and they strive to achieve that particular purpose or that particular aim or a goal. So basically, that's what we mean by a team. If you don't have a plan to achieve that joint goal or purpose or objective, then I don't see the reason why you should be called a team. That is my
Thank you very much, Jeremy. So if they cannot work together to achieve their purpose, then there's no need of calling them or referring to them as a team. Thank you so much for that, Jeremy. And I can't agree more that a team is a group of people working together for a certain purpose, and they strive to achieve a particular goal. So thanks for that intro. So I'll go straight to the introduction, and you'll see, like I said earlier, that this is more of a refresher. We know most of these things, so we just keep on refreshing ourselves. And I'll start by an introduction of a story of a guy called Jake. And Jake was a key person in accounts in a certain advertising firm. And he had 4 members reporting to him. Unfortunately, Jake underestimated his team members and fought with them constantly. He could never trust them and always thought that they were incapable of doing good work. Note, he was the head of this team. Jake one day got a major assignment from one of his clients. Like I said, he was working for an advertising firm, and he was to submit, I would say maybe like the proposal within 2 working days. And because he did not trust anybody in his team, he decided to do it all alone, as he thought nobody else would be able to do it apart from him. However, because of that, he could never submit his assignment by the set deadline and received good criticism from his superiors. His organization also lost one of its major prestigious clients. This is a guy called Jake, head of finance in an advertising company. He had a team, but he didn't trust them. So when he got one major assignment and he had a deadline, but the fact that he didn't trust his team, he decided to work on it. Unfortunately, he was not able to meet his deadline. And that, of course, led to some repercussion. One, got a good criticism from his superior. And unfortunately, because of that, his organization lost one of its major and prestigious client. So guys, what do you think? Why do you think Jake failed? And why could he not complete his assignment on time? Yep. Why do you think he failed? Thanks, Moni. Moni tells us that a team has a common goal, shared values, and communicates constantly to keep all members reading from the same page. Absolutely. Reading from the same page. So in that case, and taking in consideration what we have shared, why do you think Jake failed? And why do you think he did not complete his assignment on time? Open for discussion, and you can start, you can respond to the first one, the yellow one, or the red one, whichever you feel you're comfortable with. Over to you guys. So why do you think Jake failed? If you want to participate, just unmute and you're free to share. Lydia, why do you think Jake failed?
I could say that he decided to work all alone and not to engage the rest of the team.
Thank you. Thanks, Mary. Mary says he failed because he did not seek support from his team members. Exactly, just like Lydia has told us, he decided to work on his own. Judith, he failed because the work was involved. He failed because the work that was involving to be completed within the specified time, and he needed the team to help him. Absolutely.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, when you presume that nobody else is able to do things apart from you yourself alone, you will have locked the doors to get some particular insights from people who could really add value to what you are trying to achieve. So I earlier on said, what we mean by a team is all of us work towards a common shared goal, and that therefore means all of us must contribute in one or another towards achievement of that goal. So when you sit down and say, nobody else will be able to do this thing apart from me, you will have locked the window of opportunity for people to contribute valuable inputs that will enrich your ideas of achieving that particular goal. That is my thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Absolutely. When you think you're the best and the others don't know what they're doing, so of course they say that is a recipe for failure. And maybe I would want us to ask ourselves, have we found ourselves in such situations where you've been given an assignment and you look at that assignment and maybe you've been told to work with a certain person and you feel like you're not very sure about their capability. Have we been faced with such circumstances, guys, whereby you feel, I don't trust Irene. I think if I work with Irene, then that is not going to work. Is anyone who'd want to share like an example or maybe an experience that they had and what was the end result? And mainly, did they manage to finish the assignment that they had? Anyone willing to share? Because I know what happens is in most cases, whereby you get an assignment and you feel that you can do it on your own, you always find that in the middle of that assignment, one, you get very exhausted. And secondly, you find that it reaches a point and you feel you have to make consultations. So like we said, the true essence of a team is whereby you work with people who have a shared purpose. So let's find out about this guy, Jake. And based with that and what we've agreed, we're saying, and like Jeremy has rightly said, that if Jake had taken the help of his team members, he would have finished the assignment on time and everybody would have appreciated them. An individual cannot perform all tasks on his own. He needs the support as well as the guidance of others to be excellent in whatever he does. And the reason is, when you look at this, all these colors come to, these are puzzle, and all these are team members. Everybody has a specific skills. Everybody is blessed separately. Jeremy is adding and saying that criticism is also an opportunity to learn. Learning can be enriched through consultation. Absolutely. At times you may have a very good idea, which you believe is a good idea in your mind. But the moment you present it to a team, it is challenged. And when it's challenged, you actually ask yourself, by the way, I think I've not seen it from that angle. And that is also another good attribute of a good team player. How do you take criticism? When you consult, do you go to consult for the sake of consulting? Or do you consult because you want to learn? You want to get the best out of whatever assignment that you have? Very right. When he says that he failed because he did not trust the team, that means that the team depended only on the fallen member for information, major business strategies, which are key to business continuity. Very, very true. So what you're reminded also is that complex goals can easily be accomplished if individuals work together as a team. And I'm very sure at times you've had an assignment and you really don't know how you're going to hack it. But the moment you put a team in place and you're like, we need this, at times you've gotten these crazy timelines that you need to have within 2 days, within a week, you need to have maybe given a proposal. And on your own, you ask yourself, how am I going to complete this? But the moment you put your teams together, you realize that based on the strengths that each one has, then you're able to complete the task in good time. So now going to our objective, having had that introduction, and thank you so much, guys, for that interaction, is that I want us to see and explain what really is this team. All of us, as we're responding to my interaction, we mentioned the word team, but what is this team? Yep. And like we said very clearly, this is just a confirmation that we are learning from each other. We have this knowledge. And for me, as your trainer, my key role is just to moderate so that we get to interact, we get to share the knowledge that we have. Because like you can see, from the submissions that we got, all of us, that's from Judith, Lydia, Jeremy, Mary, Mweni, is that we've said a team is any group of people organized to work together to meet needs of their customers by accomplishing a purpose and goal. This has come out very well as we were submitting. A team is a group of individuals all working together for a common goal or common purpose. The individuals comprising a team ideally should have common goals, common objectives, and more or less think on the same line. You're achieving a certain goal. So whatever goal it is, all of you have to be on the same level. It does not matter your position. You're working as a team. And when it comes to teams, like we'll see as we continue with the presentation, is that teams, it's not about positions. It's about the common things that have brought you together. It's about the objectives, the goals that you want to achieve. Individuals who are not compatible with each other can never form a team. There's one question that when we have in interviews, especially for the HR professionals, we always ask a person, are you a team player? And everybody says, yes, they are team players. But when they get to the team, what happens? Yep. We also say that they should have similar, if not the same interest, thought process, attitude, perception, and likings. Because for a team to work together, you have to have a common purpose. So if we don't have the same attitude, if we don't have the same kind of thought process, and part of the thought process will be, how do we pick criticism? How do we behave when one of our ideas, an idea that I've been thinking about, an idea that I believed in, when it is criticized? When people say, Irene, I think that's a good idea, but for this, I really don't think it can work. How do we respond? Are we those team members who bang the tables and you're like, if it is not my way, it is no way? Yeah. That is what it calls to be a team, but you all work together, like you're one, you know? And there's someone who talked about people joined for the purpose. And having seen what a team is, we need to differentiate. One of the objectives is that we need to differentiate between a team and a group. So let's see what a group is. And we're told a group interacts primarily to share information and make decisions to help each group member perform within his or her area of responsibilities. A group in itself does not necessarily constitute a team. A group can have individuals with varied interest, attitude, as well as thought process. It's not necessary that the group members have a common objective or a common goal to achieve. So the question we want to ask ourselves is, the people we lead where we are, do we manage teams or do we manage groups? And I think one of the things that we want to achieve today is that we want to ensure that in our work areas, as we guide, as we offer coaching, as we mentor other people, we are able to mentor them in such a way that they are able to manage their people as teams. So let's see what's the difference between the two. One, look at the goal. We have the goal, we have the group, and the team, the differentiation. So for the group, is what you're saying, one of the goal of a group is to share information. I call a group today and I'm like, I want to share with you about, let's say maybe it's you're marketing an item. So I'll give you the information about that marketing item. It is one way, and then we're sharing the information. Then in terms of a team, this collective performance, and like we've rightly said, we work together, working together towards a specific purpose, towards a goal, working together. Synergy. In terms of a group, it's neutral, sometimes negative, because it is one way. Is what I'm saying versus you have to listen. I'm giving you information. How about a team? It is positive. Because why is it positive? Because one, we are all geared towards a specific purpose. And all of us want to achieve that goal. You know, when you have something that you want to achieve, you have to be positive. You have to believe in it. So all of us as a team are positive. Accountability, individual. For a group, assuming it's a political rally, I came here as my own. Maybe there's some, it's Christmas time. There are a lot of Christmas activities. So if I went there as an individual. However, for accountability in a team, there's individual accountability and the mutual accountability. So the individual accountability is whereby I'm part of this team. I want us to be a winning team. I want us to be a cohesive team. I want us to achieve our purpose. Then for us as a team, we're asking ourselves, what do we want? We're like, we have to achieve it. The skills. For a group, it's random and it's varied. It depends. What kind of information do you want to share? Yeah. However, for a team, we complement each other. And that's what we're saying, everybody has something that they can bring to the table, and we're listening to each other. Yeah. Examples now. This is a group. And when you look at our politicians, when they're giving a speech at a political rally, what happens? Masses will be there listening. The political leader will be appealing to the individuals, to the crowd to cast their votes. There would always be some individuals who would support his opponent. This crowd represents a group. Yep. Therefore, we can say a group consists of all individuals gathered on a common platform, but had dissimilar interests and likings. Some were in favor of the leader, while others are against. So this is a very good example of a group. Our election period has just ended. So I'm sure it's very fresh in our minds. And I'm sure you'd see like during the when our politicians are making, when they go for the political rallies, what would happen? They would be there, and there are people who are supporting them. There are people who are booing them. There are people who, when they say something, I'm told at times they go with a crowds for hire or groups for hire. So those would be the groups. And you can see from this, we have those who are in red and those in blue. So I would imagine this in blue, this is one group and this is another group. Yeah, so that is what a group. People have different views, people have different intentions, people have different objectives, and they're listening to one person. Now I want us to think about a cricket team. And look at this. You can see they're first discussing. And even as you think about the cricket team, we can even look at currently is the World Cup. It's a World Cup session. And I know we have footballers in the house, people who love football. And I want to pause and ask, from the football matches that we've been watching, how can we define them? Are they a group or are they a team? And if they're a team, what are these things that make you think they're a team? This is cricket. We're not talking about football. I'm sure all of us have been watching football. I'm also a fan, even though my team was kicked out. I was Team Brazil, but I'm still there and I'm hoping for the best tomorrow. So what comes up in your mind? What from the football games, from the matches that we've been watching? Are they teams? Are they groups? And what do you think they are? What do you think they are? Open for discussion. I like it when people volunteer. And when they don't, I call out names. Winnie, I'm sure you've been watching football or you have an idea of what football entails.
Well, I don't watch football, but I have an idea.
Lovely.
Yes. I think they're a team. And one of the things is they are organized.
They're organized, yes.
Yeah, in a certain manner.
I love that. Organized in a certain manner, not just organized. There's a way they do things and you ask yourself, so what was that? Thank you so much. Winnie, someone else who'd want to add to what Winnie has told us? When you look at a team, and is any footballer in the house? Anybody who loves football? You can also put it on the chat. Thank you. I love what Moni says on the chat, that the World Cup has different teams. Each team, we have the Brazil team, we have the Argentina team, we have the Croatia, we have Germany, we have France. They are all different teams, but all of them are geared towards one goal. Thank you very much, Moni. Anyone else would want to add to this? When you look at the football, at the World Cup, the different teams, and especially, wow, thank you, Mweni, we are with you. You love football, just like me, I love football. And like I said, my team was kicked out, and it's okay. We took our humble pie and we said it's okay. So thank you, I also love football. Cool. So when you look at the footballers, and for those people who've been watching football, there was one particular game of, I think it was Argentina. And when they scored the goal, all the team members ran towards the guy who had scored the goal. But one specific player went to the goalkeeper. Anyone who saw that? And which team was that? Anyone who can help us? After they scored, all the team players there, they always run to the guy who has scored, but one guy went to the goalkeeper. Fine. Even if you didn't watch that match, what would be your interpretation of that? Everybody else, there are 10 of them. Football has, I think, 11 players. So nine players ran toward the guy who scored, but one ran to the goalkeeper. What would be interpretation of that? You can even try to visualize it.
The interpretation, hi.
Yes, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm very poor in watching football. My game is volleyball and the rest. But I think the purpose why he ran to the goalkeeper and not the rest of the team is simply so that they can also make the goalkeeper be part of, feel the happiness of the whole collective responsibility of the team. So instead of only the team celebrating, the goalkeeper can also celebrate the rest of the team. So it's a way of bringing the goalkeeper to be part of that particular celebration so that it's not left behind. I'm part of this team. We have achieved this together. I think that is my thinking.
Awesome. I can't agree more. To make the goalkeeper feel part of the team, because you can imagine the goalkeeper is the one who saved, he's part of the team. He's been saving the goals. But after they win, when they go and rush, all of them celebrate and the goalkeeper is left alone. What does that mean? It means that he's not part of the team, but one person, and interesting, I'm told it is the captain of the team. He realized we are celebrating, but one of us is not with us. So what do? He goes and embraces the goalkeeper, meaning we should not leave everybody. We should not leave anyone behind. And like Jeremy has rightly said, the good principles of teamwork, the good principles of being a good team leader or embracing the spirit or the principles of teamwork is to ensure that collectively, when things go well, collectively you celebrate without leaving even the least of the least behind. So thanks for that. And like we can see from this is a cricket team, the same. And we can see it's a classic example of a team and teamwork. And that's why I thought of bringing the element of the football, because currently we are in the World Cup period. Therefore, we can say team members must complement each other. Jeremy has said that. Each other. It doesn't matter your level. Even if you're the CEO, it is important that you complement each other. All team members should help each other and work in unison. You have to work in unison, because if you don't do that, others will be going south while others are going west. Personal interest must take a back seat, and all of them must deliver their level best to achieve the team objective. And I'm sure when you look at teams, even in the office, when you're given an engagement, and especially if it's an assignment that you have some specific timelines, everybody's always up and down working because you all want to achieve that objective. Team members must not argue among themselves or underestimate the other member. Must not argue. there is discussion and there's arguing. Don't underestimate that, your point is useless, you don't know anything. There's some people who believe that their points are just the right points, like Jake, So you should never underestimate anybody in the group, because we're told your team is as strong as your weakest link. So if you underestimate your link, your weakest link, what will happen? You will be diluting the strength of that team. And maybe that weakest link is what is most important. If you don't take care of that weakest link, what will happen? Then this link can decide, you don't care about me, so let it be. Not like these footballers. I would imagine when all of them, the 8 of them, went to this one person, the goalkeeper maybe was asking himself, don't they think I'm important? So when the captain noted, he's like, wow, we cannot ignore the goalkeeper, because you can imagine in a football match, the goalkeeper, the many goals that he protects from being scored. So you have to ensure that every member, don't underestimate any member in the group. Okay. And that's why we are reminded that in our organizations, we'll have different teams, We have a sales team, we have an administration team, HR team, operation, marketing, quality team, and so on. So all the members of these teams must work together to achieve whatever objective they have for that function. Whatever HR is supposed to drive the people's strategy in an organization. So you can imagine if you have a member of your team who is not driving that strategy, what would happen? Yeah. So you have this is a team. Let's say that this is HR. All these members, if you have one member that is not driving that objective, what happens? Remove this, then that becomes a gap. Yeah. So we have to ensure that we try and embrace everyone in the team so that we are able to achieve what we want to achieve. And we're reminded that at times we say, me, my team is so, we can't. The team size does not matter. Yeah. And if it's a task, then we need to look at how complex it is and ask yourself, do you have people with the right skills, with the right competencies for that? And like we'll see as we continue the presentation, there are different types of teams. Because we're told, if you have too many members in a team, this may lead to confusion and misunderstanding. And this is where, as HR, at times you embrace. At times you'll ask someone, if you have a structure, you'll have the ratios. Like if it is a manager, maybe you should have 7 people reporting to you. Or maybe 10 people, because at times if you have 100 people reporting to you, so you can imagine, how do you manage such a team? It is too large a team. And that's why we have structures in place to ensure that the team that reports to you is a team that is manageable, is a team that you can be able to interact with them without causing any confusion or misunderstanding. And we're reminded that it's not always necessary to form a team for every task to be performed. And teams should be formed when the task is a little complicated. A single brain can sometimes not take all critical decisions alone. Thus, a team is formed when the team members contribute equally in making the task easy. And a team can actually create wonders if all team members work in unison. Very true. And that's why I find even in an organization, as a company is starting up, there'll be 2 people doing everything. You're the finance person, you're the HR person, you're the sales person, you're everything. But as the team, as the organization grows, you realize this person cannot hack it to be a salesperson, to be the HR person. So you start creating teams, you start creating departments. Yeah, because this one person, if they have to do all this, then they're going to be challenged. Their productivity will be affected. So it also depends with the task that is there. So as an organization grows, you continue developing more teams. And especially when you have maybe at times, you may have situations whereby you have a task. Maybe there's an event that is coming up, now this is a Christmas time, and you feel as HR, you may not be the one to plan for it. You decide, let me create a team that is going to help in terms of managing this particular task. So having looked at that, I'm sure we now clearly understand the difference of a team and a group. And as we get to the next, I want to just pause and ask ourselves, I'm sure we all work or we have some assignments. And when we're undertaking these assignments, do we embrace ourselves as teams or do we embrace ourselves as groups? And as a group is what we are saying, it's all about information. It's one way, it's an individual. Whereby a team, we're looking about collaboration. We're looking about working together towards a specific goal. So just ask yourself, that is just food for thought, because as we interact in this training, like I said, we learn. I'm also learning from you. I'm also trying to internalize some of these things, because this is a way when we talk about continuous development, we continue developing our skills. We continue developing the areas that maybe we may have taken for granted. So now let's see, after asking ourselves that question, what are these things that we need to have so that we can ensure that our team are good? And I'm going to request, if you allow me, if we can have a volunteer who can read for us. They can read for us the first two, then we have someone else read the other two. So who is going to volunteer and read for us?
I can read.
Thank you.
So characteristics of a team. One is they have a common purpose. So a team will always have a common task or purpose to accomplish. And then number two, clarity of role and responsibility. So team members have crystal clear and well-defined roles and responsibilities.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Who will read next, or just continue? Continue reading, please.
Sure. So number three is effective leadership. So leaders have participative style of working and team members approve of it. And then number four, solid relationships. Teams have a climate of trust, which results in strong relationships.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Winnie.
Mm-hmm.
Like how she has taken us through that. Common purpose, common task and purpose to accomplish. We are HR team. What is our purpose in this organization? Our purpose is to drive the HR agenda. Are we clear? Do we have clarity of our role? And this is at times you'll find some team members, if you don't have clear job descriptions, people will be conflicting and you're like, I thought I did that thing last week. Why is someone else doing it? Because there's no clarity. So if you want to ensure that your team is good, have clarity of the roles and clarity of the responsibilities that are well defined. I, as Irene, I know I'm supposed to do 1, 2, 3, 4. The other person who is a team member is supposed to do this and this and that. Effective leadership. As a leader, are you a participative person? Do you allow other people to talk? However, I think we all know that in leadership, there are different types of leadership. And as a good leader, we are always encouraged to use them differently based on the situation. However, for you to be a good, effective team leader, you have to ensure that everybody participates in your team. Yeah. Solid relationship. Do people trust you? Does the team trust you? Because the moment the trust is there, then the relationships become very, very strong. Effective communication. Steve. Effective communication. How effective are we in terms of our communication? Team members stay connected through the robust communication process. If it's an assignment that you're undertaking, do you communicate? Or do people just hear things out of the blues and they're like, oh, what happened? I wasn't aware. Today we have the Christmas party, we have a dress code. I wasn't aware because it was just within a certain group. How effective are you as a team leader? Okay. So having looked at that, and thank you so much, Winnie, for taking us through that, we want to explain and ask ourselves, what is teamwork. We all talk about teamwork. Yeah. And I also want to request someone else to read for us that. Who will read for us, please?
I can read it for you.
Thank you, Judith.
Okay. What is teamwork? The sum of the efforts undertaken by each team member for the achievement of the team's objective is called teamwork. In other words, teamwork is the backbone of any team. Every member in a team has to perform and contribute in his best possible way to achieve common predefined goal. Individual performances do not count in a team, and it is the collective performance of the team workers which matters the most. I think that's it.
Thank you very much. Like we've said, it's a sum effort undertaken by each team member. Sum effort. For mathematicians, you know, it's a sum effort. So everybody has something to add to that team. Yeah? Because the achievement of that is what we call teamwork. It is not Irene. Like, no, in this, I'm loving our engagement, you know. All of us, we are a team. We have a purpose. We want to understand the effective strategies of teamwork. We are contributing. We are sharing experiences. We are sharing in reading. You know, that is what every member of this team is a sum. Whatever we'll achieve at the end of this training is a sum total of what we'll have done as team members. Yeah. And we encourage that each team member has to perform and contribute in his best possible way to achieve a common predefined goal. Give your best. You know, if you're asked to read, give. I love that you guys are reading. You know, give it your very best. And that is a true essence of being a good team leader. I mean, being a good team player. Okay. So we're in agreement that the teamwork is the sum total. So when you hear about teamwork, it's not just about the terminology. It's about what every member is performing, the input. Look at these members here. Yeah. I'm sure how they are pulling the rope. Once they, this is the tag, imagine the tag of war. The people who win normally will, you know, like they'll pull and they will get it and they'll pull this other group. It's always very interesting. But where do this one group win and the other one loses? Because this one's pull and they're pulling together. But who gets the win? It is not one person, it is everybody. Okay. And we're reminded that a single brain sometimes is not capable of taking critical decisions alone. Therefore, Andrea needs the support and guidance of others to come out with an effective solution. When individuals come together on a common platform with a common objective of accomplishing a task, a team is formed. Ideally, the team members should be from a common background and have a common goal to ensure maximum compatibility. The team members must complement each other and work in close coordination as a single unit to deliver their best. So that is what teamwork is all about. You are in HR, your HR department. If you have someone who is not a HR person, some of the principles about HR, you're going to conflict. If you're in sales, if I'm not a sales and a marketing person, and I'm in finance, we'll never agree. Because for me, I'm looking at the cost. But for you as a marketer, you're looking at it like, for you to market, you have to spend. So you all have to have the same kind of skills. You also have to have the same kind of interest. Let the finance people be finance. Let the marketing people be marketing. Then, due to the synergy, you come together at the umbrella point of view whereby the finance brings in their views, the marketers brings in their views, the HR comes in terms of capacity building and whatever may be required. So because you are told as a person, you may not be able to achieve. And you can see this person up here, he cannot be able to pick this unless it's passed on to him. And that is the essence of teamwork for this jigsaw to be completed. And from this, you can see what they say, that there is no I in teamwork, because every individual must think of his team first and the personal interest must take a back seat. Because the success of any team is directly proportional to the relation among its team members and their collective efforts. Team members, it's not about me. It is not about you, it is about us. Because that is the only way that you're going to be a good team and you're going to achieve our objective. But the moment I bring in my personal interests, then what happens? Then I break the essence of teamwork. And the following are a few tips for better teamwork. And I will request someone to read for us the tips. And maybe when you read one, you tell us what you think about it. Then you read the other one, tell us what you think about it, and we move on. Kindly volunteer. Or I can volunteer. Agnes, can you kindly read for us? Number 1. Agnes, are we together? Who'd want to help Agnes?
And I can read.
Thank you, Winnie.
So tips for better teamwork. One is think about your team first. Every individual thinks, every individual should think of his team first, and his personal interests should take a backseat. Do not mix your personal issues with your professional life. Keep them separate. I can read and then just share my thoughts. Then number 2, never underestimate your team member. Do not neglect any of the team members. Instead, work together and also listen to them as well. Never try to impose your ideas on any team members. Avoid demotivating any team member. So I think when I look at the first point, usually when we are part of a team, I believe it's really critical to always consider everybody, because at the end of the day, it's a team. It's not just one person. And sometimes there's that temptation to put your personal interests, first. But in a team setup, it's really critical that there's a phrase I like using, that no one feels they're left behind, because in a team, it's very easy for people to feel only one person is pushing for their agenda, but the rest of the people have, been abandoned or even not part of the team. And then sometimes it's very easy for us to mix our personal issues with our professional life, because you kind of bring your personal issues and you try to explain to the team. So the temptation is usually very high. And then number 2, never underestimate. Sometimes because we have different abilities and education backgrounds, it's very easy for us to believe that maybe we are better than others, or maybe others are better than us. So instead, it doesn't matter what people have in terms of their educational background, maybe years of experience. I usually believe in allowing everybody, because everyone can always make a difference in a different way. And this reminds me of something that I read somewhere, that there were a group of engineers who were coming up with a car. And one time they realized that they made a car in a warehouse. But then in that warehouse, when they were trying to drive the car out, they realized the car is too high for the warehouse. And so the engineers were, standing in one place thinking, how do we get the car out? But then there was a watchman looking at them somewhere. So then they were thinking, because we're engineers, we can just cut the car and drive it out, and then we will make it. Then another engineer was saying, you know what, maybe we can cut the warehouse. We can make a bigger door. And then there was a watchman there looking at them, and the watchman came and said, you know what, guys, how about you remove the air from the tires? And then you drive the car out and then put in back the air. That just shows me, that was a watchman, these were engineers. That shows me that sometimes different people from different levels, we need all the ideas. So it's really key and critical to respect every person and to work together and to listen to every person, because they may bring a very unique, idea to the table. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Winnie, for that and for the sharing. I love the engagement, and I love that story of the engineer and the watchman. And I'm sure they must have been looking at that watchman and wondering, what is this guy doing staring at us? Thank God they listened to him. So thank you for that. So we go to the next tip. So he's going to read for us and also just tell us what they think and share an experience like Winnie has done. Who is the next? We said we are a team, so we really have to work as a team. Who is the next team member?
My name is Janet.
It's Janet.
And I'd like to just take the next two. So the other one is to discuss before implementing any idea. It must be discussed with each and every member on an open platform. Never ever discuss with anyone separately, as the other team members feel left out and reluctant to perform and contribute to the team. Then on the other one, understand others. For better teamwork, try to understand your team members well. Do not just always talk business. It is okay if you go out with your team members for lunch or catch a movie together. It improves the relations and strengthens the bond among the team members. Team members must trust each other for maximum output. So on the first point of discussing, I look at it from the bit of involvement of everybody. And I like to take this approach of a ship, where we are all going into a ship as an organization and everybody has their role. So even if I'm the team leader, it is good that I understand that everybody from the person who will be filling the holes, and maybe when we have a leakage, or to make sure everybody is sorted throughout the journey in terms of food, we have a medical team, we have the technocrats, we have even the person who's driving like at the helm of the ship. So all these things you cannot do when you're inside the ship. It is like a strategy you need to set and involve everyone before you go on board. So you see that involves, it is actually like a participatory affair. That's how I like to look at it. And on the bit of understanding others, we all come from different backgrounds. We have our different values. As much as the organization might have the, like the standard values that we're supposed to follow, you appreciate everyone's background. And it's always good to include everybody. And in that setup, you'll get like the people who are so serious, like the accountants and engineers, they don't have time to waste. And you'll have the marketing people, and sometimes even HR has become lively. And you see, with this bit of mental health coming up, it's always good as a HR to make sure that there's an element of fun in everything that you do. So as you understand each other, just make people, break them into bits, but in a good way. So that as you do the process, everything seems like fun. Thank you.
Sorry, I was talking and I was muted. I'm sorry for that. Thank you so much, Janet. I think that was awesome. Thanks for sharing about the ship and about embracing each other. And I love that thing of where we need to break that ice, because we all agree, you agree with me that we spend most of our active, productive hours in the office. Those are 8 hours. So when you go home, you just go relax and you rest. So you can imagine if those 8 hours are boring, or there's no, you don't have like your team members, you're not in good relations with them, you don't have fun with them, you don't go out for lunch with them. You can imagine the kind of life you're going to go through. And like you rightly said, we are all struggling with mental challenges, and at our workplaces. And I work at a place currently that every young person you talk to, they don't come to work and they say, I think I'm having some mental instability, I'm having some mental. So what do you do? But by these things of going out for lunch, going for a movie, to getting to interact, you get to understand the other people. People get to trust each other. People get to talk out when they have issues, And that is the only way we're going to prevent some of these things that keep on happening. Because at times you look at issues, you see like some employee jumped from a certain floor. And whatever comes to my mind is, I just ask myself, how the team members are affected, Because I try to imagine we are here with a team member, the next thing, he or she has gone to the 4th floor and, so you can imagine the kind of pain that the team members go through. So we can try breaking some of these things by understanding each other and having continuous discussion with each other. Okay, thank you so much. So the next person, volunteer. Thanks, Janet. I was on mute. I did that alone. Okay. Who's going to volunteer? The next 5 and 6? My dear team members, why volunteer someone? They say when you volunteer, go ahead, please.
This is promote transparency. Transparency must be maintained and healthy interaction must be promoted among the team members. The communications must be effective, crystal clear, and precise so that every team member gets a common picture. Effective communication also nullifies misunderstanding and confusions. Number 6, avoid criticism. Stay away from criticism and making fun of your team members. Help each other and be a good team player. Be the first one to break the ice and always create a friendly ambience. Avoid negativity within the team. Thank you.
Thanks, Agnes, for that. Promote transparency. Thank you so much by taking us through number 5 and 6. And we are told that we are reminded that we should have effective communication. Because the moment you have communication that is effective, then all misunderstanding and confusions will not be there. Because there's nothing bad like for a team when you're not clear. Yeah? Avoid criticism. I say you can criticize, but positively. But there are people who criticize you and you feel like there's nothing you know in this world. And I'm sure most of us have experiences whereby maybe you work with somebody or a boss that everything that you take, that even as you undertake an assignment, you know so well they will criticize it. And what happens when you have such a boss is that every time you're doing an assignment, you don't give it your best the first time. Because you know, even if you give it your very best, it will still be criticized. And especially if it is negative criticism. So let's try for a good teamwork, we should try and stay away from criticism and making fun of your team members. And I will give a very interesting, I would say, an example about making fun of team members. And this is an example about one of our team members, a place I engaged with. And this person was going through a very difficult time because they'd just been diagnosed of some lifetime condition, which had really taken a toll on him. And because of the condition, he lost weight very drastically. You know, there you just shrink. And in one of the sessions, somebody just made a comment because part of the plan is that he needed to really work on his nutrition. So he would come with, these concoctions, some things, some blended, some smoothies. And one time as we were seated, someone made a very negative comment and said, wow, hata kama ni keep fit, at the rate at which you're losing weight, you should eat. Wacha kukula hizi vitu zinakuharibikia, you know? And the gentleman just walked away. Because this person was making this joke, okay, it was supposed to be a joke, but they didn't know that this person was going through a condition. So I noted it because we were seated. I noted it and I decided to follow the gentleman because you can tell from the body language. And I asked him, hey, what's up? I think so-and-so was just joking. Don't take her serious. You know, she likes joking. And believe me, the guy started crying. And of course, you can imagine, I was like, okay, I thought it was as simple as I thought, but now a man crying, I don't think it's every time that you see a man or anyone crying in the office. And I had to take some, that you first breathing, you're like, okay, God give me the grace to be able to know what to do next. So I was able to calm him down and the guy gave him his story. He gave me his story and he was very open, told me the condition and everything. And I really tried to encourage him and told him, to try and understand the other colleague. But he told me, no, he can't because he doesn't know what is going through him. And okay, to cut the long story short, with time, I had to make sure that the two reconciled. And the person who had made that comment was really apologetic. And later, today, they're very good friends. So the essence of that is that at times when you criticize some things, let's be a little bit conscious. Because you may criticize somebody. Maybe they've worked on a document the whole night. You don't know where they were. Maybe they were working from a hospital bed or working. So let's avoid negative criticism within a group, because one, it kills the essence of teamwork. Okay, 7 and 8, another volunteer. I'm enjoying the volunteer because I don't want to volunteer someone. I can volunteer Sonny Gathoni.
All right, thank you. Number 7, avoid conflicts in your team. Don't fight over petty issues and find faults in others. One should be a little adjusting with each other and try to find an alternative best suited to all team members. Number 8, rewards and recognition. Performance of every team member must be evaluated timely, and the best performer should be rewarded suitably so that the other members also get motivated to perform. Appreciate the member who performs the best or does something unique.
Thank you. Anything you can tell us about those two?
Not for now.
Okay, no worries. Just for the 7, avoid conflicts within the team. I think we cannot reemphasize. Let's not fight over petty issues and find fault in others. The people who are very good at that. Uyo hata mfanye nini namjua uyo, you know. I mean, let's avoid some of these things if you want to have a good teamwork. Rewards and recognition. Every team member, like we said, is important. And I know some organizations will always say everyone is important. I worked for an organization that was our tag. We say everyone is important. So every team member must be evaluated timely, and best performance should be rewarded suitably. And when I talk about rewards, I know most of us and most of the employees, what they think about is about monetary rewards. But I tell people, even a simple pat on the back, wow, Janet, thank you so much for reading that for us. Thank you so much for telling us. That is an appreciation. That is a recognition, you know. We clap for you. That is a reward. So let's not only look at the monetary or the financial rewards. Let us recognize people in the simple way that we can. Because, you know, some of this recognition maybe have a financial impact and you may not be having a budget. But let's look for those small things. Just a thank you note, you know. Somebody has sent you a report that they've been working on, and they say, attached here with find this, and this. Even say, thank you so much. This is well received. That by itself, it's an appreciation. So let's try and appreciate each other. And I always tell people the best way of appreciating each other, even just asking somebody, how is your day? How is your morning? How was your lunch? How was it working on that project? What are the lessons that you learned? You know, let's reward ourselves. Let's appreciate ourselves. And like I said, it is not just about monetary. It can be non-monetary. And interesting, non-monetary works magic, you know. Let's learn to appreciate one another, because everybody, you see, when you appreciate it, you want to do better the next time. But in case you put so much effort and all you get is criticism, all you get is just a conflict, you know, what will happen the next time? You'll do it because it's a duty. You'll not do it because you feel you need, you own it, okay? So let's try as much as possible to recognize our team members. And having seen that, I think having gone through the tips of the better teamwork, and we'll see from this, no, this is what the end result, yeah? Those are the importances of the teamwork. And we're told the first one is where we're saying team and teamwork must be encouraged at workplace, and it strengthens the bond among the employees, and the targets can be met at a faster pace. I loved, one of us told us about the ship. When you get to a ship, you first have to agree, you know, because the moment you do that, the moment you agree, then you're able to move faster. But assume you get to that ship, you don't know where you're headed, so you're there, people are saying, can we go this side? Maybe the tide is going on a different side. So the moment you work as a team, then you're able to achieve your targets fast. Workload is shared, and individuals feel motivated to perform better than his team members. positive competition. I always call it positive competition, whereby I feel whatever I have been given, I want to give it my best, so that next time I'm also acknowledged. It is positive competition and positive motivation to perform better. Very important, because you've already embraced the principles of teamwork. You've already embraced the tips that you've gone through. Everybody understands, everybody is involved. We are all collaborating towards a specific goal. Therefore, we've shared our workload, and individuals will perform better, because we are all in this together, and no one is disadvantaged or no one is advantaged. We are all a team. And as we're discussing the teamwork, is that we want to look at the relevance of team and teamwork in organization. And again, I will request somebody will read the 1 and the 2. And if you can tell us what you can share your thoughts around it. If not, don't worry. And in case somebody else wants to share their thoughts around anything, you can either put it on the chat, or you can just lift up your hand, unmute, and I'll be able to see, and I'll allow you to participate. So who will read for us the number 1 relevance of teamwork in organization?
Okay, I can read.
Thank you, Lydia.
Importance of team and teamwork. The following is the relevance of team and teamwork in organization. Number 1, a single brain can't always come with solutions to take decisions alone. He needs someone to, just a minute. He needs someone with whom he can discuss his ideas. In a team, every team member has an equal contribution, and each team member comes out with a solution best suited to the problem. All the alternatives can be explored to come out with the best possible solution. Thoughts can be discussed among the team members, and the pros and cons can be evaluated. Okay, for me, this one, I've seen it even in my daily work. Sometimes you have a task that you're doing and you know how to do it. But the moment you start discussing it, maybe with your colleague, even you yourself, you start getting ideas, your colleagues start getting ideas, and you discuss over it and you get the best way to go about the task.
And how do you feel after the task has been accomplished?
You feel that you have not done it alone. You feel the importance of working together, and you want to work with this person over and over again, that whatever you are doing, you want to engage them.
Absolutely. It brings a lot of positivity energy, you feel, wow, you mean you could do this, and you embrace each other and you celebrate your achievements. Very true, Lydia. Who will read for us number 2? Number 2. Do I volunteer? Or there's a volunteer? It feels better when somebody volunteers. Even if you've read, you can still read again.
Okay, I'll read it.
Thank you, Judith.
Tasks are accomplished at a faster pace when it is done by a team rather than an individual. When employees work together, they start helping each other and responsibilities are shared, and thus it reduces the workload and work pressure. Every team member is assigned one or the other's responsibility according to his specialization, level of interest, and thus the output is much more efficient and faster. Yeah, I think this brings us back to your story. I think the guy who was supposed to do some work and he could not manage within a specific time. What was his name? Jake? Is it Jake?
Jake, yes, Jake.
Yeah. Jake decided to do work on his own and he could not accomplish the work within the specific times. So in each and every task given in the company, it is always good to look at the deadlines. Maybe you can work with your deadlines. If you feel that you can do the work alone, well and good. But in most cases, the work should be at least done in a team, within a team. So I'd advise my colleagues that always delegate I mean, everybody is there to do work. Always delegate duties at the office. The HR has to come up with a schedule of work for team members. So always strive to delegate so that you do more. You do more when you work in a team. I think that is what I can input on that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, Judith. Thank you so much for that input. Lovely. Okay, 3 and 4. Who will read for us? I can read. Work never suffers or takes a backseat in a team. In a team, the other team members can perform and manage the work in the absence of any member, and hence work is not affected much. There's always a healthy competition among the team members. Competition is always good for the employee as well as the organization, as every individual feels motivated to perform better than his other team member, and in a way contributing to his team and the organization. Work never suffers or takes a backseat. Very true. And like Judith has told us, when you remember the story of Jake, he decided to do everything. Yeah. But if he had engaged everyone, nothing would have suffered. The work would not have suffered. The assignment would not have suffered. Everybody would have done whatever they need to do, and they would have achieved. Healthy competition, like I've said earlier, very, very important in a team, because you're able to give the best. And like I always tell people, especially if you're a team leader, look at the strengths. The people are very good at making presentations. The people are very good at Excel. If you give me something in Excel, maybe I'm not good in Excel, but I'm very good in Word. So I'll be able to, and in this report, I assume it's a report you're compiling, there'll be some Excel elements, there'll be some Word element, maybe you need to prepare a presentation. Give people tasks based on their strengths. And that way I'm like, since I'm doing the PowerPoint presentation, I'll make sure it is so good. And the person who is doing the Excel is like, I'll make sure my Excel is, because I have to ensure that I maintain this, So let's always encourage healthy competition in our work areas. Number 5, teamwork is also important to improve the relations among the employees. I think we've really discussed this. Relations are very, very important at work. And like I always said, like I said earlier, we spend most of our productive time in the office. So you can imagine if you're a loner. And I tell people, being a team player, being in a team or working or having or embracing teamwork is not about personality. That me, I don't like talking to people. Me, I'm just a quiet person. Teamwork has no personality in it, because even quiet people talk. Quiet people engage, So let's try and build relations at work, because we stand to gain. Excuse me, guys. We stand to gain from each other, because every individual is different and has some good qualities. We are told that we've all been created with our own talents and with our own capabilities. All we need is just something small to untwig the potential within us. So if you don't involve your team members, then how are you going to know their capabilities? If you don't involve them in a decision and you have a task, you don't involve them. You go there, you have the task, you have the objective, you have everything, you don't engage them. Like, I think it's Agnes or Lydia who said, at times you go to a team and you have an idea and you think it is the best idea, but the moment you engage, you get points from other people. You're like, wow, I've not even thought about that. How do you take it? Do you take it positively, or do you take it like, oh, so you want to challenge my thought process, Take it positively, because every team member has a good quality, and let's embrace the good qualities on our team members. So these are the top skills that you should master to become a great team player. And like you can see, they're all things that we've been talking about. So there's the sharing, sacrificing. At times you have to make sacrifices. Yeah, you have to be empathetic to your team members. Like I gave the example of my colleague who was not feeling well. After that, were we empathetic? Did we understand him? Did we try to put ourselves in the people's shoes? And I tell people, as team players, try as much as possible not to sympathize with people, but to empathize. Yeah. Because the moment you empathize with somebody, you give them a lot of encouragement, you give them some strength, you know. They feel appreciated. But the moment you sympathize, this person thinks they even die in the next minute. Because it's like, oh my, you know, you're there, don't worry, you know. So when you sympathize, you overdo it, you really make that person, the spirits, you kill them. But the moment you empathize, and empathize is whereby you're told, put yourself in the shoes of that person. How would you want to be treated? Yeah. Persuading. Do you persuade people? And persuading is not the persuading of the one that we know of. And persuading, we're talking about being a great team player, whereby you're persuading people to interact. You want to engage people. You have this wonderful idea, but how are they engaging? Do you respect people's views? Do you respect people's views? Like the engineer and the watchman assume they don't respect people's views, and they just look at that watchman like, what the hell are you telling us? What would have happened? You know, do you listen? They listen to the watchman. And I'm sure, okay, I don't know, but I would imagine maybe there must be someone who was like, no, at the end of the day, what is this watchman coming to tell us? But they took time to listen. Because at times, people have ideas, but you don't give them time. You don't listen to them. If these engineers did not take time to listen to that watchman, they would have struggled. Maybe they would have dismantled the whole car. Yet it was a simple thing. So when you're engaging with our teams, do we listen to other people? Or we're the people who always interrupt people when they're talking? Somebody will never finish their sentence. It is okay. But do you take time to listen? And we are told, when you listen, you learn. Because when you talk, it's coming from you. So it's whatever you already know. Okay? But the moment you listen, you get something new. Working hard. Do we work hard? Do we give the best of what we have? The best of our capability? Do we question? And do we question positively? Do we question? You know, there are people who question to intimidate other people. But do we question with a positive mind, with a mind that we want the best out of this? So these are the top tips that if we embrace, we're going to be great team players in our teams. And I think I'm also liking it because as we're engaging in this training, I'm seeing like we are really listening, we're respecting each other, we are questioning, and we are sharing. Sharing is very important because you're told we learn best from experiences. So we go to the next one, whereby we're looking at the different team models very quickly. And we are told that when a team becomes more aligned, you find that you're able to now have a common purpose. And you're able to energize each other, and you're well harmonized. This way, there's a shared vision as well as an understanding of how to complement each other's efforts, because you're well aligned. You know, this is our purpose. This is where we are headed. This is a ship, and this is where we want to go. So now can the journey begin? So you are one in a team. Once you know the type of team you are in, it will help you choose how to plan your work and what you expect as outcomes. There are various models of teams. It is important to know which kind of model your team fits. Next step is to analyze why you feel that way. Now understand which is a model your team should follow in order to accomplish the given task. This is very important in order to achieve the organization goals. So let us look at the team models. We have the traditional model, we have the team spirit, cutting edge model, task force model, cyber team model, and you look at it each in details, and like you'll appreciate at given points, you may have a different model, especially if you have a task. You've been given an assignment that has to be done within a specific. So it's up to you to ask yourself, which model works best for us? So we start with the first one. That is a traditional model. And this is a group of people with traditional bosses. The boss also share some of his or her responsibility as well as authority. Do we delegate? Someone talked about delegation. Do you delegate? Or you're like Jake, you want to do everything. You want to be the jack of all trades and the master of none. How much is being shared by the boss is usually dependent on the issues under consideration. This traditional boss is in charge, but still on certain issues, this person may allow his other team members to take the leadership role. How many times do you sit back as a supervisor and tell people, today, I'm not chairing this meeting, you're going to chair? Yeah, you can be able to delegate. And because you're told the traditional model, key is to know what assignment is at hand. The assignments you can delegate, the assignments you cannot delegate at that particular time. So that is a traditional model. The team spirit model, this is whereby the group of people who are working with one boss, the team members are very happy and everything seems to be going well. There's team spirit in people. The fact remains that in reality, this is not really a team. This is because there's one person who calls all the shots. Besides, there's no sharing of authority or responsibility. So this, you are told, is whereby we have the team spirit, a group working for one boss. Yeah, the team members are very happy and everything seems to be going well. There is team spirit in the people or the team members. The fact remains that in reality, this is not really a team because it's only one person who scores who calls the shots, because there is no sharing of authority and responsibility. This is a team spirit model. This is whereby the boss is one who scores the shots. You're there, you work, things work well, but the team member or the team lead or the boss is the one who is getting the scores. Cutting edge. This is a group of people, and these are models. We're just looking at the previous models. And like I said, each model can work at a specific time. Like the team spirit, there's a time you have an assignment, you know what needs to be done, and it's very specific. There's no rocket science. It is well defined. So what happens is like now let's talk about something like recruitment. You're the head of recruitment. You know very well what has to be done in recruitment. So what you do is you define, and the team will ensure that you have a good recruitment process, that nobody will come and say, wow, the recruitment, there's a lot of discrimination. So that is whereby you're like, wow, the team spirit, the recruitment team, you want a recruitment to be done, they'll do it very well, no compromise, no conflict or anything. So that is more of the team spirit. Then now we come to the cutting edge model. And this is a group of people who are managing themselves. There's no single person in this group who has the authority to make any decisions about the events which will impact the whole group. This is also known as a self-directed work team. This is because each one has the authority as well as responsibility for all the decisions that they need to make. Yeah, like I said, these models work at different points depending on what is at hand. The task force model, this refers to a group that comes together for a specific time only. This is because it has to work on a specific project or task. Such a group has traditionally been called a task force or a committee. This may also include quality circles, R as a reason, TQM efforts. Okay, task force model, I think we all are very familiar with this. There's a special project or special task that needs to be done, and a group of people are put together to undertake that project and they're given time frames. And after the task has been achieved, then the group is disbanded. We have the cyber team. In such a team model, members rarely meet each other face to face or may not meet at all. They are also known as cyber or virtual teams, which make this team different in that the teams has to work together in order to accomplish goals, but they'll be meeting only at the beginning of the project. Post that, they may be interacting virtually through email, telephone, or through video conferencing only. And this mostly works, especially if you're undertaking assignments or a responsibility with the people who maybe are not on the same geographical area. So you have to keep on interacting through online and in virtual ways. Okay, so that is a cyber team. So this is a teaser and a question, having looked at the models that we have, and we are being asked, which of the following team model represent a group of people who are managing themselves? Who can help us with the answer? And there's a gift. Which of the following team models represent a group of people who are managing themselves? Who can try?
I'll try. It's the cutting edge.
Ah, lovely, the cutting edge. Let's appreciate. What was your name, please? You didn't give us your name. Who has given us the answer? Thank you so much. Yes, it's a cutting edge. And now let us look at the various types of teams. We've looked at the models. Now look at the teams that we have. Yeah. And maybe just for us to ask ourselves, if somebody was to ask you about the type of teams, what would come in your mind? Would you name like one type of team that you think of? Anyone who'd want to try? I say there's no right, no, there's no wrong answer in adult learning. Who try to imagine the various type of teams? Just try. Anyone who wants to take a dare? Jeremy, tell us something. You've been so quiet. Jeremy?
Yes, please. Sorry, my internet, my connectivity is misbehaving. It's on and off.
Sorry.
I'm in a place which has unstable internet. But I know, of course, we have different types of teams. Of course, we have professional teams. We have self-managed teams, teams that can be able to come up and manage its own self to achieve some of the goals. We have project teams. If you have a project in a particular place, you can form a team, of course, to implement that project. Sometimes we have task force teams. A task force is just a team created to maybe achieve a particular goal within a particular period of time. So you are given a task to perform, and you are supposed to perform within a particular period of time. We have, in my place where I work, we have what's called sector technical working group teams. A sector technical working group which is sector specific. Like you can have a technical working group for health sector, for water sector, for the livestock and agricultural sector. This technical working group is a group of is a team formed to provide professional technical advice for that particular specific sector, depending on the period of time that you want the advice to, of course, take place. And then we also have troubleshooting teams, of course, that are formed to, if you have a problem within your organization, you can be, when you're not sure of, you can be able to form up a team to troubleshoot and provide solutions. So depending with the environment you are in, and depending with whatever you want to achieve, you can have as many types of teams as possible. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jeremy. And if it was a non-one-to-one training, would have really sung for you. Thank you so much for sharing the type of teams. And like you'll see, we all have them on our presentation. And that's why I keep on saying that some of these trainings, we just come to remind ourselves, to refresh ourselves, you know, not that we don't know, it's just to refresh ourselves, like you'll see. So thank you so much, Jeremy. And I wish you all the best with your network. I hope it doesn't throw you out, because I think at a point it's like you'd gone off. So let me hope that it can stabilize. So you can see the following types of teams that we have. So the first one is the permanent teams. We have the temporal teams, we have the task forces, we have the committees, workforce self-managed teams, cross-functional teams, virtual teams, problem-solving teams. As I'm saying, Jeremy, is like, you know, all this. So thank you very much for that. So let's look at it in details. And I look at the permanent teams. One, we're looking at the teams that perform a permanent basis, tasks and are not dissolved once the task is accomplished. Such teams are called permanent. Work or no work, the human resource, operation, administration would always function effectively. I'm sure we agree on that. Then we have the temporal teams. So these, unlike the permanent teams, and like Jeremy has very well articulated, it depends with whatever task needs to be accomplished at a specific time, and it will be for a shorter duration. And And these teams are formed in association with the members of a permanent team. Like now, assume you have, maybe you have an event for the employees. You'll have a temporal team, but you'll always ensure that you involve the human resource. Assume it's a budgeting time. People have, like, you'll have a committee that is looking at the budget, but you cannot be able to effectively manage that without having a finance person. So those are the temporal teams. We have the task forces. Jeremy has well articulated this, formed for special purpose on a specific project or finding a solution to a very critical problem. And I think we've seen that this even at the national government, when there are issues, you'll find that our president, they will appoint a team, like when we had the bomb blast, the terrorist attacks, and so on. Currently, I know, like for the Nairobi County, there's a task force to look in the health, to look on the health issues in our county. So these are the task forces that we will have. The committees, these are generally formed to work on a particular assignment, either permanently or temporal, because some committees are permanent, especially at the board level. We'll have committees that are very permanent. Also, like now, even like the human resource, we are based on how the structure is. We'll have some committees that are permanent, like we have the OSHA committee. That is a requirement by law. So that will be a permanent committee. However, the individuals may change, but the committee is a permanent committee because it is embraced. It's there on the act. Same to the board. There's some committees that have to be there at the board level. And we're told that individuals in a committee have a common interest, possibly either from the same background and attitude, come together to form a committee and work on any matter. If it's at the board level, if it's a HR committee, all of you have a common interest in terms of your HR capability. Because even HR committee and you don't understand, okay, HR, maybe you can say all of us deal with people at any given time. But I tell people, it's not just as easy as people think, because I don't know, but in most organizations until recently, HR always had a backseat, They only come looking for you when things don't work. But they don't appreciate that HR, it takes a lot to drive the people's strategy, because I tell people, for an organization to survive, an organization to achieve its goals, its vision, it's done by people. It's the people who drive the vision. So if you don't take care of the people agenda, then trust me, your vision will have some challenges. And who are going to take care of the people agenda is a human resource. So I always encourage and I always challenge organization, and especially the senior leadership, whereby you don't put HR on the table, then you stand to, you're doing that, you're not providing justice to the HR person, because when things go wrong, when the culture is not well, you go to HR like, why are people coming late? Yet HR is not on the table, So I tell people in these committees, don't just put people because it's a HR committee. So you imagine anybody can manage HR. No, you need to have the particular background, the attitude that is required, To organize any cultural event, organizations, the committee members work together to design strategies for successful accomplishment of the task. Okay. So the other one is the task organization or workforce teams. This is whereby groups are formed in an organization and members work together under the expert guidance of a leader. I would want to request someone to read for us this. Who would want to read for us this? Organization and workforce. I volunteer someone.
Let me lead. This is Agnes. Let me lead.
Thanks, Agnes.
Yeah, this is organization stroke workforce. Such groups are formed in organizations where team members work together under the expert guidance of a leader. A leader or a supervisor is generally appointed among the members itself, and he, along with his team, work hard to achieve a common goal. Third, the leader must stand by his team and extract the best out of each team member. Fourth, he must not underestimate any of his team members and manage his team to avoid conflicts. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you want to share your thoughts around the same?
Not at the moment.
Okay. No worries, Agnes. Thank you so much for reading that for us. And this is whereby we're looking at the organization and workforce teams, and she's well articulated it. So we look at the next team. These are the self-managed team, and Jeremy told us about it. And this is a team whereby teams consist of individuals who work together for a common purpose, but without the supervision of any leader. Here, every individual is accountable for his individual performance. The team members of self-managed teams must respect each other and should never lose focus of their target. No leader is appointed, and the team members have to take their own responsibility. Individuals take the initiative on their own and are their own guides and mentors. Self-managed team, you manage yourself. You know, you are responsible of what you do. You are a team by yourself. Yeah, but you're all working towards a common purpose. And for me, if you look at the bigger picture, each department to some extent, you know, finance wants to achieve this, HR wants to achieve this, but at the end of the day, we're all geared toward achieving the vision and the goals of the organization. Cross-functional teams. This is whereby we have employees from same hierarchy level, but different work areas. Some come together to accomplish a task. Ideally, the employees should be more or less of the same level to avoid ego. Individuals from different areas come to work together for a common objective to form a cross-functional team. In such teams, people from different areas, interests and likings join hands to come up with a unique idea to successfully complete a task. Excuse me. So I'm sure we're very clear about that. So we go to the next one of the virtual teams. And I'm going to request someone to read that for us. Mary, you've been so quiet. Mary, would you like to read for us, please? Or Winnie? Read for us.
I can read.
Thank you, Winnie.
All right. So virtual teams consist of individuals who are separated by distance and connected through a computer. So here individuals communicate with each other online through the internet. Then some at Los Angeles can form a team with Mandy at Mexico and Sarah at Denver, all working for a common objective, but the communication is totally digital through internet. And then such teams are helpful when employees need to connect with each other and are located at different places.
Thank you, Winnie. Any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think when we look at virtual teams, well, I don't know if we ever thought about virtual teams until COVID came. And that is when, for most of us, it became really a common, thing to be done. Although I'm sure there are many other companies who used to do it anyway. So I believe that, for me, it shows me that we can still have a team. We can still discuss the common goals that we have. And of course, because now the world is becoming a global village, it means distance will never separate us from having, still wanting to achieve a common goal, because many companies have different teams across the world. And sometimes maybe it's a HR team in Denver, HR team in Mexico, a HR team in Los Angeles. It doesn't stop us from having a common goal and still attaining our purpose. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I agree with you. Virtual teams, and until COVID, whereas I know some organizations embrace the virtual, after COVID, it's become the norm. That even in the office, you find in the same office, but you prefer having virtual meetings. And for me personally, I think I love them because one, you're able to achieve so much. You're able to manage time. Like at times the physical meetings, you go, you start, you divert from the main agenda. So rightly, I agree that COVID has come to change the world. the world of virtual. And we really appreciate it. It's okay, Mary, we understand that she says she's not able to speak right now. No worries, and thank you for following us. And like how we're talking about the virtual teams, like Jeremy from the chat, he's in all the way in Massabit and we're able to interact, you know. So I think this virtual thing has really come to bring a lot of progressiveness. We're able to do things even when you're not at the same geographical area. So the next type of team is a problem solving. When you want to troubleshoot, I think Jeremy told us about that. And these are teams are formed when groups of 5 to 12 employees from the same department meet each week to discuss on how to improve quality. You know, it can reach a point where you're like, wow, I think we're not doing well. People are complaining. There's a lot of, in terms of disciplinary, especially with the HR, what do we need to do? You know, people are complaining. So we form a team and we meet every week, once in a week, or depending on how we agree. And our main objective is to look for solutions on what we can do so that we can be able to improve our quality of service, our quality of doing things, our quality of engaging with the staff. Maybe the staff engagement index is very low. So what do we do to improve that quality? So that is a problem solving team. So now I'm going to look at a real example that will help us understand a cross-functional team. And I believe all of us do understand. And like I said, this is more of just us reminding or refreshing ourselves. So I'll go through that. And the two guys, Hazel is a lady and Frank, both were part of the branding team. And they got an assignment from the supervisor to complete it within 2 days. Yep, branding that is part of marketing. So unfortunately, Hazel had an accident and was advised to take a complete bed rest for a week. To avoid delays, George from the operations team was shifted to the marketing team to assist Frank for the time being and form a team. This is an example where a cross-functional team was formed by Frank and George from 2 different departments while working together as a team for a common purpose. And what I would imagine is, as much as George was asked to come and help Frank, there's something about George that shows that he can be able to undertake a task in marketing, a task in branding. That is why it's very important for us to understand our teams, for us to know what are these capabilities, what is Irene good at, what is Lucy good at, what is Ian good at, you know, then that way you're able to know in case tomorrow there's a gap or something comes up, I know very well I can call upon so-and-so to come and fill in that gap. And you agree with me, when things don't work, everybody runs to HR. And it's like, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do. And that's why as HR, we're told we have to ensure that we interact with people. We get to understand the people we are working with, you know, so that when somebody comes and says there's a gap here, very quickly, you're able to give a solution. You're able to bring up the cross-functional element in terms of trying to move on the purpose of the organization. So another question, and we asked, which of the following types of team consists of individuals who are separated by distance and connected through a computer? That is so easy. Who can respond or who can try?
Virtual team.
Thank you. That's a virtual team like we are. Like today, I think we can call ourselves a virtual team, right? Because we are connecting in, we are virtual, right? So thank you so much. So now we're looking at the roles that we all have in a team, because we're all a team. And like we said, we've officially told ourselves we are a virtual team for now, as we undertake this training. So what is our role? Even if you're in a task force, we're in a committee, what is always the role and responsibilities of teams? We'll start with the number 1. We're supposed to be the linker. That's why we're supposed to coordinate and integrate. We're supposed to be a creator. Do we initiate creative ideas? Do we champion the ideas once they're initiated? Do we promote them? Or when somebody comes up with an idea, you're the first one to say, no, that can't work, it can't work. Do you promote the idea? Do we assess? Do we offer insightful analysis of the options? Do we organize? We say teams are organized. We talked about the football team, and we said one of the things that they do is that they're very organized. Do we organize? And how do we organize as team members? By providing structures. Do you have a structure where we work, or everybody does what they feel is right? Producer, provide direction and follow through. We have created an idea. We have promoted it. We have organized and said, this is a good idea, but do we produce it? Do we provide direction? So what next from here? Controller, examine details and enforce rules. Everything that has no control is doomed to fail because can be abused. So have you provided mechanism to control? If it is a committee, do you have the terms of reference? Or is just a committee just that means can meet 10 times in a day? Do you have the terms of reference that maybe should have like meetings, maybe like quarterly? Maintainer fights external battles. When things don't work, do you say, what? Me, I'm not part of it. You guys handle your battles. Advisor, do you provide advisory as a team member? Do you encourage the search for more information? Or is the kind of person like, this one, we know, I mean, we have this, you know? You don't want to encourage people to seek more information. You just want to work with the basic that you have. You've been given an assignment, you work, and that is how it's supposed to be. You don't take time to look for more innovative ways, to look for creative ideas, to look for input from the other people. You don't advise them. Assume you're the team leader. Do you advise? Do you seek advisory from other people? Yeah. So these are the roles that we are called upon to embrace as we talk about teamwork, as we talk about team building, as we say people and tell people, I want to see a good teamwork. Are you a team player? These are the roles and the responsibilities that we should embrace. So we continue. We have other various responsibilities that a team has to fulfill as a single cooperative unit. We start with the first one. Sorry. Creating and managing diversity. We're in an era where diversity, we cannot ignore inclusion and diversity. Yeah. Do we involve people? Do we seek inputs from a variety of backgrounds and cultures in order to develop a broader picture? Or we are like, I know the way it's supposed to be. Fearless environment. Do you develop an atmosphere which is safe for employees to ask for help, to ask for help? People should not be viewed as weak if they ask. Asking a question is not a sign of weakness. I say it's a sign of strength. Do you respect each other? Do you take time out, include people who are different than you in informal meetings such as lunches and coffee breaks? We talked about that. Turning individuals into team player. You all join an organization as an individual. But how do we turn ourselves into team players? How do we fit into that team? One, by the selection. Make team skills, one in the interpersonal skills in the hiring process. And we always encourage as you hire what you don't have. Maybe in your team, you need somebody who can bring energy. Everybody is good, but you need somebody. So when you're hiring next time, look for somebody who will come and bring that energy. And that's the times we as HR people, we have at times to explain our recruitment because you find your number one may be missing a key skill that you need. Therefore, you have to go to the number two. But how do you define that? How do you defend that, you know? Training. Train people, like for team building, for teamwork. Go for team building activities, for communication. Let them be trained on communication, reward and motivate. Rework the reward system to encourage efforts of the team rather than the individual. Encourage people as a team, reward people as a team. Continue to recognize, of course, the individual contribution while emphasizing the importance of the team. Quality management. This is whereby we're talking about a team must aim for total quality management, that is TQM, by taking into consideration various issues like one, the team size, the time, authority, and the support. Does a team have a go-to person or champion to reach to in case they need guidance? And that's why I said it's good to identify the strengths of everybody in your team. There's someone who is very good in quality. They know how to look at those gaps. Where is a drawback? Where is the bottleneck? If that is that person, go to them and you get guidance. There's someone who is very good in Excel. There's someone who is very good in presentation. Get to understand and always have that person that in case I want this, I can go to so and so. In case I need this, I can go to so and so. Because that way they also feel like they're part of the team. They feel their contribution is being embraced. Enhancing performance. Performance of each individual in a team can be enhanced through synergy. Everybody is important. This is because people working in a group are able to produce greater output than would be produced by one person. So let's try and embrace the spirit of teamwork, because even productivity, we are able to maximize on our output. Innovation. Let's encourage and empower our teams to make innovation as a part of our process. If somebody comes up with something, let us encourage each other. Let us not just dwell on the weaknesses, but let's look at the strengths by seeking our balance. Motivation. Another very, very important responsibility of a team is to motivate its team members. Team leaders should provide needed social interaction and help employees cope with work-related stresses. They should reward and recognize high-value teams. Have a reward system that you reward the high performer. However, ensure that whatever tool that you're using is an objective team that will not make people feel like, I think there was something that was not working. And I can give an example, like yesterday, actually, it was yesterday, I was invited for a specific function, had team awards, and they invited me. And interesting, in fact, I'm still thinking about it, and I think that is something I need to pick up. We have like two members who are actually going through some disciplinary action, and they were recognized as the best team members. And I just want to pose this question to you. What is your view on that? Maybe I'm the one who's just been biased. What is your view on that? These are two members in a team of, we have other team members, but they have been picked as a top performers, yet we have issues. We have running disciplinary process ongoing. What is your view on that, members? In the spirit of teamwork. I open it up to anyone who can tell me their views on that. Anyone would want to share what you think? Someone is undergoing disciplinary action and they're being rewarded as the best team member. Thank you, Mary, I agree. Very demotivating to the rest of the team. Thank you. That's my view. Very demotivating, because the question I ask myself is, they all know this person is going through a disciplinary action and you've been given an award as the best team leader. So what do the other people think? That it's good to be on the wrong side. Thank you, Mary. Anyone else who'd have a different view, or what you feel that somebody is being awarded, yet they have a disciplinary issue? And they're being awarded for this, it's a current award. It's not like for something they did last year, because maybe last year they didn't have that issue. It's actually real time. Any other view? Winnie, what's your view? Mweni, can you tell us what you think about that in terms of motivation, in terms of us rewarding our teams? Thank you for writing it. Maybe he's been rewarded for other issues like innovative ideas regardless of the disciplinary issue. Yes, that's another good way of looking at it. Maybe whatever he's been rewarded for has nothing to do with the disciplinary issue. So it's always good for us to look and find out where was he rewarded. But in this case, it was very clear he was a team leader of the month. Actually, it was a team leader of the month award. So I feel like we're all saying, like, I think credit is due for recognition. So maybe he may have done, and the disciplinary issue, maybe the two are not related. However, like I said, it's something that I really need to get the facts and get to really understand, because it caught me off guard, because you're there and they've been recognized, and you've just left, you're working, you've been scheduled for some disciplinary hearings. So let's be very sensitive as we're making these rewards to our teams, because you may make these rewards, and like Mary says, you may give this reward with a good intention. However, we demotivate other people. And other people will feel like you're not being sincere and you're very biased. So as we motivate our teams, let's ensure it's very, very objective. And should somebody challenge it, then you're able to do what? You're able to, I'm looking for the right word. You're able to defend it. And like Jeremy said, rewards should be based on performance. I agree 100%. Performance has to be very clear. You have very good tools of performance, measuring performance. And if one person can be able to say that, you see, this is how he performed. Yeah. So let us be very, very careful as we do this, because you may put stressors, you may stress people, where as you're trying to motivate others, you're stretching the other people. So let's be very objective on this. So we go to the stages of team development. Once now we've understood, we know what a team is, we know the team models, the type of teams that you have, we know the difference of a group and a team, and we all know that we want to embrace the spirit of teamwork. So what are these stages? And the beauty of understanding the stages is that it gives us some encouragement of encouraging us not to give up. Because at times as you're working with a team, you may wonder, oh my goodness, especially if you're new and you're the lead of that team, maybe the people are behaving, people are not cooperating, and it can be very demotivating. But the moment you get to understand the stages of team development, it makes your work easy. It gives you hope, because you're told Rome was not built in a day. And I'll tell you, when you see most of the managers whose teams are very strong, if you go and sit with them and they tell you what they've done, the work they've put in terms of building those teams is not easy. So let's understand the stages of team development, and that way we are able to know at what stage are we in terms of forming our teams. Okay, so we are told that teams are becoming a key tool for organizing work in today's corporate world. You cannot ignore teams. Gone are those days you sit behind the desk, do your own things, give your reports. You have to work with teams. Yeah. And you're told it's an effective tool for employee motivation, because people feel you're working together. You feel you are a family. And you see, when you're a family, you want the best for each other. So let us look at the stages. We have 5 stages. And you're going to look at each one in details. And I'm going to request, if it's okay, we can have someone who can read the first stage, the second stage, like we've been doing. And if you can be able to share your thoughts, you can do so. If you feel you have the energy, you can read more than one. So once you read the first one and you feel you can continue to the next one, it is open. So we start with the first stage, which is forming. And I want to request for a volunteer who will read for us the forming stage. Forming stage. Someone read for us. Even if you've read before, it's okay. We said everybody has their strengths. I'm sure there are those who are not, they're not comfortable reading, but they, they are with us. They say, I'm with you in spirit. So we're all together. So kindly, someone read for us. Do I volunteer someone?
Yes, I can volunteer.
Thank you, my dear. Go ahead.
Yeah, during this stage, so at the forming stage, during this stage, the group members may be anxious and adopt a wait and see attitude. They will be formal towards each other. There will be no clear idea of goals or expectation. Besides, they may not be sure why they are part of the team. Yes, this is the stage where the team needs to write its own charter or mission statement, as well as clarity of goals. Clarity goals. The most important thing here is that goals must have personal buy-in. By doing this, the team will be able to establish boundaries as well as determine what is expected. Team members will get to know each other. This builds the commitment towards the larger goal. Thus, during the forming stage, the team members here are in the process of knowing each other and getting comfortable with each other. So I think, this is the initial stage. Initial stage, you just here to create a team. These people could be maybe completely strangers to each other. Maybe they could be from different departments. Maybe they have different agendas. So you are trying to bring different people together with different ideas, different expectations, and trying to make them know each other and trying to make them the reason why you try to make them understand the reason why you are bringing them together. Maybe you need to explain to them why you brought them together, what are their goals. They could be, for example, a welfare team or in an organization. They could be, for example, disciplinary team in an organization that you are forming for the first time. And you need to explain to them their roles, their goals. They need to know each other's names, the department they come from, why have they been chosen to be part of this team. I think it's just an initial stage for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. If you don't mind, kindly read for us stage 2.
During this stage,
Oh, sorry.
All right, okay. During the storming stage, team members are eager to get going. Conflict can arise as people tend to have different ideas of how to accomplish goals. At this time, they notice differences rather than similarities. This leads to some members dropping out mentally or physically. For storming, can you also read that one?
Yeah, that's where we are. That is on stage 2. That is a storming. Continue.
At this stage, communication is important. Tension will rise. So recognizing and publicly acknowledging accomplishments also become important. It becomes important to participate in meetings, and diversity needs to be valued. Thus, during the storming stage, the team members begin to show their actual styles. They start getting impatient. They try to probe into each other's area, leading to irritation and frustration. Control becomes the key concern during this stage.
Very true. Any example?
When you are forming a new team and you've just moved from explaining the goals of a team and you are now on the second stage of the storming, here now the team wants to move towards its own goals and its own objectives. The team wants to discover why they were actually formed. We have expectations and excitement. And somebody can just decide to come with all his own or her own expectation, which is completely different from the goal of the group. And I know that's where the misunderstanding sometimes can come. At this stage also, maybe the team decides to elect officials for that particular team. So maybe we need a chairperson, a secretary, treasurer, and some people can be competing for this position, leading also to conflict and stuff like that. That is my thinking for this particular stage.
Absolutely. You're right, very right, Jeremy. This is a stage whereby now you formed this team, you like 10 members, and this is whereby now you're electing the officials. And I'm sure all of you have been part of teams and in a group, and you'll be like, maybe the chairman is trying to define the objective of this group, and I'm like, no, I think you don't understand I think we don't understand our objective, and there'll be a lot of back and forth, and I'm sure if you try and play back in any team that you've been or in any committee, like the first meeting, the first 2 meetings, there's a lot of non-clarity, and and there's a pie, and you find some people are like, I think I'm in the wrong place. So this is storming you by everybody has come with their own expectations. And you get there, maybe you find the formation of that team, the way it is. So already maybe you have the emotional, you're like, oh my goodness, will I fit? This is not what I expected, I don't know what. Maybe the elections have been taking place. You thought, that people believe they have to be leaders. You thought you'd be elected the chair, then people didn't elect you the chair. The person you wanted to be elected the chair has not been elected. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of back and forth. And some people actually even drop out of this team. So this is a storming. And this works at our workplaces. When you have a team members will come, you're still trying to identify. You're trying to identify each other. You're trying to understand each other. You're trying to lay down the ground rules. Some people will be like, that works for me, but for me, it doesn't work. You're saying, can we be starting these meetings at 8? Another is like, no, me, I always wake up at 7. No, can't we start it at 7? Another is like, no, why don't we do it at 10? There's a lot of back and forth. And that's what it's called the storming stage. You get into, it's like a storm, that the storm comes with a lot of back and forth. So however you're told, communication is very important, because that is what is going to reduce the tension, because there's a lot of tension. We don't know each other. So it's very, very important. Then we go to the next stage. After that is the norming stage. Who do want to read for us the norming stage? If no one is volunteering, I can read. And we've seen that the norming stage is whereby it's a stage where people now begin to recognize ways in which they are like. They realize that they're in this together, hence they tend to get more social and forget their focus in favor of having a good time. This is a time to help them by providing any training if applicable. It becomes important to encourage them in order to feel comfortable with each other and the systems. Also, the group needs to stay focused on the goal. Thus, during the norming stage, there's conflict resolution. There's a greater involvement of team members. There's a greater we feeling rather than I feeling. Now we have fought, we have the storms. We don't know what our objectives. Everybody has their own interpretation about the objectives in the storming. Then now we start to normalize. We now understand each other. We now realize that we are in this together. We are in this for this specific goal. We now even have a chair for this committee, a chair who is going to provide direction. We have a secretary who will be taking our notes. We have a moderator. So the things are now starting to normalize. Then we know at this point we need to stay focused on the goal at hand. The chair will come in. And we now realize when the chairman talks, it's not like, I am here because I was appointed. We are here, we're in this together. So now the we-ness comes in, the togetherness comes in. And now there's a calmness, you can say now we are calm. We can now go on with the business of the day. That is stage 3. And one thing I need to say is that these stages, they don't work overnight. It is a process. Like we know in all stages, it is a process. It may take even one day to go through all these stages. You form the committee, you guys fight and normalize and you start business. But there's some, you'll even have to adjourn the meetings because you can't agree. You've seen some committees, they can't agree on the leadership. You're like, no, we can't have that person as our leader. So what happens? They fight and they storm and storm around and they adjourn. They meet again, they still can't elect. They meet again. But at the end of it all, they reach a point and they're like, wow, we need to move on, and they agree on maybe some form of leadership. And now after that, they become normal, they normalize the process, and they get to stage 3. So it's dependent on the stages. There are those that will move faster, there are those that will take time. So it depends with how fast you move within a specific stage. And of course, the constitution of the committee. Like, there's some people, either in a committee, if things don't work their way, then trust me, they can make it impossible. So let's be patient with each other, and especially in these committees, and we're going through these stages, let's be patient and let's accommodate each other, respect each other, like we've seen all the attributes of being a good team member. Okay, we go to the 4th stage. and that is the performing. And this is now once we have stormed, we have normalized, now we are normal. Then now we go to the performing stage. Now we go to the real business of the day. At this stage, members are trained, is when members are trained, competent, as well as able to do their own problem saving. At this time, the leader needs to find ways to challenge them as well as develop them. The team is mature. Yeah, your team is now mature. The members understand their roles and responsibilities. They would require less input in the process. The members are self-motivated and self-driven, as well as self-trained. Thus, their efforts need to be recognized. Growth has to be encouraged. This is done by giving new challenges to the team. Whatever task that you're working on, there's growth. You can see things are working. During the storming, during the normalizing, you pick some gaps. People have been trained on those gaps. And so now you feel like, I didn't have very good communication skills. You have been trained on those communication skills. I didn't have good writing skills. I didn't have good presentation skills. So now people are able to perform. It's a time to show off what you've been invested. Because everything is an investment, I say. Time investment. When you sit in as a committee, when you sit in as a team, you're the leader, you've been mentoring, you've been coaching. You want to see the return on your investment. You want to see the return on your mentoring investment because your time, and I always encourage leaders, learn to cost your time. Like as a leader, if you've been coaching someone for 1 hour, learn to put a cost, maybe financially, maybe, like the man hours, because that's the only way you'll be able to ask myself, oh, wow, I sat with this young man for 3 hours, but whatever he's able to do, I'm really impressed because now it's time to perform. And if this person is not performing, you can be able to tell somebody, you know what, we sat with you for 3 hours. We underwent a training for 2 hours on this day, another one for 1 hour. Where is the gap? Because you also have expectations. If you're trained, the expectations, if it's a committee member, the management has expectations of that team. If it is a technical team, all of you are technical expertise. Everybody has expectations. So now at the first stage is a stage of performing. Yeah, focus on performance and productivity. Then now we go to the last stage. This is the adjourning stage. This is where the team has accomplished the goal for which it is being created in the first place. At this stage, the team members are well comfortable with each other and have developed great relationships with each other. Also, they're in general mood of celebration as the team has reached its goals and has fulfilled its purpose. Especially if it was a task force, you have achieved it. You've gone through all the stages. And now it is time to celebrate. And I always tell people, try and celebrate even the least of wins. Every win you have, celebrate, even if it's just a simple hug. You can hug yourself, yeah? Just hug yourself and say, wow, Irene, you've done a wonderful job. Have those self-celebration moods because they encourage you, they motivate you. Because next time you're doing an assignment, you're like, wow, I want to have that feeling. And I'm sure all of us, after we've been given an assignment and goes on well, there's always that, even like a smile, there's a smile that comes out, You can even, I tell people, when you're given an assignment and you've accomplished it and you've given your project and maybe like you've given your report and it has been approved, even the working style changes, If you're going to the boss and you're leaving that office, there's a way you walk. Is it true? You feel it's like you want to tell the whole world, you know what? Whatever we're supposed to have done, we've done it and it was perfect. If it is like for the HR, assume you're planning for your annual year Christmas party, and the party is so successful. Everybody is saying, wow, Irene, that was awesome. I've not had a nice party like this one. Even as you go home, of course, there'll be some areas of improvement, but 90% was a success. You feel fulfilled. So it's always good to celebrate those the accomplishment that you've done, and especially as a team. Don't just break up a team after you've completed your agenda, especially if you're the chair of that team. Have a celebration mode. Even if you're tossing over a glass of water in the same meeting room, but just have that celebratory mood. You can see how these guys are happy. Everyone is happy about it. So one of the key guy called Bruce Tuckman came up with this forming, storming, norming, and performing phrase in 1965. And he used it to describe the path to high performance. Later, he added the fifth, which is adorning, and others call it mooning. It feels better. So this is a guy who came up with the stages of our team, the team development. And you agree with me, like how for some of the teams, especially at our work areas, functional teams, will be up to number 4 because we expect everybody to perform. However, those ones that maybe is a task force, is a temporal. We talked about the permanent and the temporal ones. The temporal ones will go up to the 5th one. And I think why they have the word morning, all of us have experienced this. Personally, I have. You've been in this great task force. You guys have been meeting on an assignment. And once you've given your report and it's you've told thank you very much and everything, and you have to break that committee. You know, there's always that thing of like, oh my goodness, I will miss each other. We'll miss the Tuesdays, especially if we used to meet every Tuesdays. We'll miss, you know, that, and that's why it's called the morning, because you feel there's something. It was already so much part of you, but now it's coming to an end. So those are the 5 stages of a team. And let me encourage you that whatever stage that your team is at, it's a stage, and you will, with a lot of focus, with a lot of effective communication, with a lot of understanding your team members and picking their strengths and working on their weaknesses by trying to put strategies that will improve, by ensuring that everybody is part of that team. Trust me, you're going to embrace all the stages and celebrate. So we go to the last discussion of today, which is on team management. And like you realize, this is more of a summary of what we have been talking about, because I'm sure we've talked about team management at length. So this will see like it's more of a summary and a reminder, but we are saying that team management refers to the various activities which bind a team together by bringing the team closer to achieve set objectives or targets. For the team members, their team must be their priority, and everything else should take a backseat. They should be very focused on their goals. You're in this ship together. Where are we headed? And that's at times you hear some people tell you, is either you ship in or you ship out, you know? You have to be focused together as a team. We're told that the team members don't start performing from the very beginning. They need time. And that's why I've taken you through, or we've gone through all the stages of team development. You don't expect a team that is forming to be able to perform the same way as a team that is on the performance stage. Okay, so it's always good for us to ensure that, to know that at what particular time, if you have a new member of your team member, a new member in your team, they need time, they need to be inducted, they need to understand the process. So don't expect them to perform at the same level as someone who has been working on a certain process like for a very long time. And also it's good to appreciate that not always that all members would perform equally. Some of them might not even get along well. Individuals sometimes find it difficult to adjust to each other, and as a result, their performance is affected. When you have relations that are not positive, it affects their performance. Thus, every individual fails to perform, the complete team has that loss. Like I said, your team is as strong as your weakest link. Don't leave anybody behind. Even when we can't work together, look for a way to bring us together, because at the end of the day, managing a team is we are all together, not Irene minus Lucy, not Irene with half. Everybody has to be together as a team, you know. We have to ensure that the activities that we put in place will be those that will ensure that team members work together on a common platform. But don't break, have one team today here, tomorrow you take another team there, then they come and they're like, as we are told this, these ones are told this, what are you doing at your team? Good principles of team management is that put your team together, work with them together, and always look for the gaps and try to look for solutions for them. Okay. And for us, what are we going to do to ensure that we get those teams? What is it are we going to do to ensure that our team management skills are up? I'm sure we have this and we know this. However, we just need to have a reminder. And when we're saying that a team must be managed effectively to accept the best from the team members, the team leader plays a very essential role in managing his team well. A few of the effective management skills are as follows. Who would want to read for us the blue one? That is a blue one. Who will read the blue one? One of the skills for managing our teams. Winnie? Maureen can read for us? Or anyone who is willing to read? And like I said, it's okay. You can read as many times as possible. No worries. Any volunteer? Okay. I can read. I'll read the.
All right, I can volunteer. Communication among the team members must be clear and transparent for an effective team management. Every team member should get the same information and should have easy access. Ella, do you get me?
Yes, we do. Jeremy, continue.
Yeah, I don't see the down part, but it says communication among the team members must be clear and transparent for an effective team management. Every team member should get the same.
Sorry, I was trying to minimize it. There we are. Can you see now?
Yeah, every team member should get the same information and should have an easy access to the superiors in the case of any query. Yes.
Lovely. The next one.
The next one is the green one.
Yeah.
The green one says the team leader should be more of a mentor to his team members rather than just being a strict boss. Understand your team members well. The team leaders should share a healthy relationship with his team members and not impose things on them.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Jeremy. And like I said, this is more of just like a summary of the things that we've been discussing. But key two points to note on communication. Every member of your team should have access to you as a team manager. Yep. Every team leader also needs to be more of a mentor to his team members rather than just being a strict boss. Whereby when you walk in, everybody runs away. Yep. The other thing that we're told is that we should ensure that each and every team member is willing to participate in team discussions. And that is only possible if you are a mentor to your teams. Call everyone on an open forum and formulate strategies. Sorry for that. Formulate strategies, keeping in mind everybody inputs. Everybody should be aware of his roles and responsibilities in the team. It does not matter the level, everybody is supposed to be part of that team. Okay, we go to the next. Who is going to read for us? Lydia? Lydia, Agnes? Kindly read for us. Or any other person who would want to read, it's open. Yes, go ahead. Someone has unmuted. Okay, Jeremy, it seems you're going to read for us again. We love your voice. So kindly read for us, if you don't mind.
Which one can I read? Okay.
The choice is yours.
All right. The team members must not pass on any information to anyone outside the team. Learn to keep things to yourself. It is unethical to share your professional secrets with others. Don't leak information or any confidential data. Right? And then this other one, Just a minute, let me make it. The team members must be motivated on a regular basis. Appreciation is a must. Performance appraisals, perks, incentives, trophies, prizes are all instrumental in motivating the team members to perform better. Avoid criticizing any of your team, right? And then the down one, I don't see the whole part of it. Yeah.
Can you see now? I can help you.
Yeah, this one, loose talks, blame games, dirty politics should find no place in the team. They spoil the environment and people lose interest in their work, right? And then this one, it is easy to create a team, but it is actually difficult to bind the team members together and even make, I don't know what, I can't
even make them work.
But thank you. All right.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Jeremy. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your participation and reading for us. And like you've greatly articulated, the things that we need to embrace. One is professional secrets. And especially for the human resource people, we get a lot of confidential information. How do we manage it? And you've had some people say, and oh, and to you, if that's what people think, that I can't go to HR with an issue, because the moment you leave HR, everybody knows. You go to an organization, everybody knows what everyone is earning. So effective team management skills is whereby you ensure that you don't leak information. Loose talk, blame games, dirty politics should find no place in a team. You should ensure that you're all working in an environment that politics and some politics whereby there's a lot of witch hunt, Then you're also told that team members must be motivated. Appreciate them. I can't reemphasize, I talked about this. Motivate your team. The more you motivate them, the more they're going to produce, or their productivity is going to be very high. Avoid criticizing any member of your team, and especially criticizing in public. Like in a meeting, and you're saying, you work on their esteem. So kindly avoid criticizing people. Then you're told finally that it's easy to create a team, but it's actually difficult to bind them. You can create a wonderful team. You get the best expert in your area. But as a team leader, to enable them to work together as a team, it is not as easy as it seems. It is work, and it's hard work. You have to work on it, and with the skills that we've talked about, but once you embrace it, it becomes very, very, very easy. We're told that an effective team needs support from both inside and outside. It needs to meet the individual needs of its members in order to achieve their organizational goals. One, clear and elevating goal. This is a goal which has been communicated to all. Clarity. Where are we headed? We're in this ship. Where are we going? Do we know where you're going, all of us? Yes. If we don't know, I don't know where you're going, then as a team leader, it is your responsibility to explain to that team member who does not understand and communicate in a way that they get to understand. And that's why you find most of the organizations will always have their vision, their values, displayed, because at times they don't know their goals. If it's a departmental, you go to a department, you find they've posted their departmental objectives for the month or for the quarter, so that it is well communicated. In case I forget, there's a place I can be able to get it. Result-driven structure. The goal has been jointly decided by all the team members, and they're full committed towards achieving it, especially when you're formulating your objectives, for the department. There's this organization goal that we need to achieve. So when you're formulating our departmental, do we involve everyone? Or I come as a team leader, I'm like, for this month, this is what we're going to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the objectives for the quarter. These are the objectives, and I don't involve people. Let's involve people and competent members. Each member has the required skill set in order to achieve the team objectives. And I always encourage managers, when you come and say, I can't work with this team, yet they were recruited, they followed the process, and the process was objective, then they have something, they have the skill. So it is your responsibility as a team lead to ensure that you bring them together because they're competent. You just need to ensure that you're able to embrace that competence that they have. You're able to bring them together on the table. You're able to involve them. You're able to give them clarity. That way they're able to know that we're supposed to be part of this team and we're going to ensure that we achieve our objectives as a team. Okay, collaborative. Commitment from the team members and a good leadership leads to a good collaborative team. And I can tell you when your team is well collaborated, the productivity is awesome. Even when you go home, when you're on your leave, you know things are continuing. But if you have a scattered team, what happens? Even if you're not in the office, you're always calling. And I always tell people, if you want to know how good your team is or how good a manager is, when they are away on leave, how many times are they called? And if the manager is called every day, it means he's still holding. He's not very good in terms of delegating. Of course, there are times that maybe depend also on your authority level, because there are some things that you can't delegate. But for the normal common things that can be delegated, yeah? How commitment? Do you have the unified sense of commitment from your team members in achieving the organization goals? Because the moment you have it, it becomes very easy to be able to perform an objective. Standard of excellency. Quality orientation is vital to the success of any organization. The quality of your output. How is it? Is it something that you take pride in? Or is it something that you look at it and like, oh my goodness, did that just come out from my team? Oh no. Standard of excellency. Okay. External support and recognition. We need to appreciate that as well as appraisal is required to keep morale. Appreciation as well as appraisal is required to keep the morale of the team high. How do you undertake your appraisals? Are you a principled leader? Leadership defines a team. An able-bodied leadership can chart the team's path to success. As a pilot of the ship, are you principled? Or in the middle of the ship, you decide, no, I think we're supposed to go this way. You decide, I think I want to take a break. Are you principled? Do you embrace the principle of active participation? Each team member participates actively and positively in meetings as well as in projects. This shows a personal commitment as well as understanding towards a project. And I must commend you guys for your participation in this training. You know, you're very active. Request for a volunteer, you volunteer. Active participation. Your team members, do they participate? Or you go for a meeting, you're the one who has the agenda, you say the opening prayer, you read the agendas, you read the minutes, you second, you propose. I mean, do you encourage other people to participate? Very, very important, because they also feel that they're part of the process and they want to be part of the success. Innovative thinking. Encourage people to think innovatively. When they bring creative solutions, don't turn them down. Pick them up, you know. Challenge them to think out of the box, you know. Let them get to understand what is happening. Give them opportunities to showcase their level of creativity. Team goals are clearly understood by all. Do they all understand? Active listening and feedback. Members are listened carefully as well as given thoughtful feedback. Give feedback. Very important. We are all who we are because of the feedback. You did something and someone will be, you know what, I think if you did this, it would be better. That feedback. But how do you give that feedback? How do you give feedback, especially feedback that is not positive, you know? Then, like I talked about listening, I cannot reemphasize. Listen to your team. Listen, they're full of ideas. They're full of solutions. Some of the things that you don't know the solutions, trust me, the moment you open it up to the team, you'll be surprised with the number of the solutions that will come up. Taking initiative, trust and respect, risk-taking. A team must be willing to take risk. Risk-taking is an attitude which comes with confidence. At times, there's some task you take up and you're like, you're not even very sure where it's headed, but since you believe and you know your team is good, and you know you have all it takes, you take that risk. And trust me, most of the greatest successes that you've had have been from the greatest risks that you've taken. Because you're told, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. So you need to have a team that supports each other, that even when it comes to risk taking, you are going to work together as a team. Supportive, you support each other. Effective communication, and you also give realistic deadlines. And this will be at times when you have external support as well as aid in virtual in the success of any team. Maybe at times you require some training, you know. So let's also give realistic deadlines. So if there's training that is required, there's something that is required, some evaluation. So don't give deadlines that are unrealistic. Yeah. So looking at that, this being the final slide, we'll be looking at the effective communication. And I want to really emphasize on the need of effective communication, because the moment you don't communicate. Question, Agnes? Your mic is on. You want to say something?
Not really.
Yeah. Okay. So I was talking about the effective communication. And one thing I can tell you, my dear colleagues, is that for a good, effective team, communication is a bloodline. If you don't communicate, people don't know what you expect from them. When you're not happy with that team, tell them. When you're happy with them, tell them. But how do you tell them? Yeah. So always ensure that you have ample communication between the team members and that they all interact together. Because like we said, we are together. We are bonded together. A team has to be bonded together. So how do you bond if you can't communicate? How do I tell you, come and hold my hand if you can't communicate? So effective communication is very, very important. Then we support each other. And of course, like I talked about the deadlines, let them be very, very realistic. Because at times when you give unrealistic deadlines, it's a key demotivator. And people will give you, they say garbage in, garbage out. You're like, don't care. So they'll give you something that is not very credible. It is going to compromise the quality of what you'd want to give out. So kindly, let's ensure that we embrace all the good things that we've seen about being a good, efficient team lead and what is required from a team leader. So all this, that's why I said, just for summary, clarity, very important, result-driven, ensure that you have competent members, especially at the recruitment point, collaborative commitment of the teams and good leaders to lead a collaborative team, unified commitment, standard of excellency, don't compromise on your quality. You better buy time, but ensure you get it right. External support and recognition, don't be afraid, don't shy off to seek external support. Be principled as a leader, encourage active participation. Team goals are clearly understood. Take initiative, trust and respect everyone that you work with, regardless of their position in the organization. Everybody deserves to be respected, and learn to trust people. Because the moment you don't trust people, then very little can be done. Because every assignment you give an assignment to Irene, you're like, but I don't trust her. So what happens? You really don't have the vibe, and somehow people feel, if you give me an assignment, you don't trust me, I'll feel the vibe. So what you're doing is, I'll be like, I think he doesn't trust me. So so even the way I will work on that assignment will not be the same like if this person trusts me. However, I tell people trust and respect is earned. You cannot force somebody to respect you. Neither can you force someone to trust you. But if you respect other people, they'll also respect you, because you're told what you give, so you respect. So you receive. So let's respect other people, and trust me, they're going to respect us back. Let us give them trust. And how do you build that trust? Today I have an issue, I come to you. I don't chat with any people. I know if I go to Irene, I'm 100% sure that my issues will be catered, will be taken care of. And if they tell me this, they're going to do it. But if you just tell things and don't implement, people lose trust in you. So even tomorrow, even if you stand and you're telling them all the good things, they're like, this is just another one of the narration. So ensure that you embrace trust and respect. Of course, you have to take risks. The higher the risk, the higher the return. Supportive, effective communication, and giving the realistic deadlines. So my dear colleagues, I want to tell you thank you for listening to me. And now this is a session of question and answers. And maybe to just inform you that once you're done with the training, this is, like I said, it has 2 modules. So we're done with our module 1. So tomorrow we go to module 2, is that we share this You can follow us through our YouTube, through your LMS. You have the credentials. You can always be able to see this training. It's recorded. So in case there's any area that you need to get more information, you always get that. So always interact with our link, that is ACHRP. So always interact with us and give your comments, watch our videos, let's interact, give us feedback, because feedback is what helps us to become better and to be able to serve you and to be able to add value to everything that we do as we engage. So now I open it up for any question, any clarification, any comment as we come to the end of our training. So it's open and everyone is free to talk. You can talk, you can chat. You can write it on the chat.
I have a question.
Yes, Winnie.
First of all, maybe just to say thank you for this. It has been really informative. Sorry, there are a number of times you called me and I was not able to speak
No
or
worries.
chat. I have a question. If you go to a team that you find there are some specific areas, maybe, and you can notice because maybe you've basically you go into a team and you find that there's no that team cohesion, and it's because the problem is not even the employee, in as much as the leadership sits and says the problem is with the employees, and you notice that the issue is actually with the leadership, especially in terms of publicly ridiculing people in meetings and calling them out names, and even discussing some of the issues you discussed in private. For example, a leader makes a comment such as, some of you are not even, I wonder how you were hired, things like that. But maybe an issue happened that is very not even related in how they were hired, but they maybe a leadership that likes to make comments. And when you talk to other leaders, what happens is they don't seem to have a problem with it, or maybe to see an issue with it, but that is what is weighing the team down. And of course, demotivating people. How do you go about it?
Thanks, Winnie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure most of us have been engaged or have had such circumstances. Anyone who'd want to share with us an experience of what they've handled it before I give my views? Anyone? Whereby you go if there's a team, and rightly agree with you, you go to meetings and there are these comments like, how you hired, I don't be, and some of those comments can really be irritating and annoying. I know that, Winnie. So anyone who's had an experience that they would want to share? Okay. So Winnie, thanks so much for that. Thanks for the question. Thanks for the appreciation. I appreciate. Thank you too for the participation and for your question. Good question. And for me, my comment would be, we as the HR, we drive the people agenda. And when you pick some of these gaps, I know most organizations have a leadership program whereby once in a month or once in a quarter, you'll always they'll undertake some training or some sessions. And what I've seen work for me is whereby I'll pick those gaps, because some of these people who walk or talk carelessly, they're very defensive. So how you approach them, you need to be very careful, because you may go to approach them and maybe now they again take it back on you. So what I've done is that I've picked it as a gap. And when we present our monthly reports, we look at the gaps that we've identified and we'll pick on a topic. Maybe you can say like communication. And we'll take the senior leaders through that. And you yourself, you know who you're targeting, because some of them are not very approachable. So you'll take them through that and you'll talk about maybe a gap and what people feel, maybe even give a case study. You may not be very specific. That is one thing that can work, whereby you identify the gap and you put everybody as a group and you're able to take them through the session, awareness sessions. Secondly, I tell people, at times as HR, we have a very difficult role because we're supposed to offer advisory to the senior management at all levels. So it is right to maybe just go and talk to that person but how you package is what matters. Because you know, we're told there's very many ways of killing a rat. How you package it. Maybe even as you're discussing them, you're like, I think some of these things that we say here, I don't think, you just look for ways of just bringing that topic and see how they're going to respond. Where they can just walk. I've walked to the office of one of a very senior, actually the CEO, and I had to tell him something. Of course, it was a risk. Like I said, at times you have to take a risk. But I had to tell him. And you'll be surprised. Most of them, based on how you package it, take it very, very positively. And because some of them do it with them without knowing, they think that is especially if they're aware of leadership. All of us have leadership strengths. If they're aware of leadership, for them, they came from that bureaucratic, old school. They don't know about this transformational leadership that you're talking about. So for them, what they're doing is the right thing. For them, they believe, I am the boss. When I talk, nobody else talks. So it is a process of unfreezing those kind of cultural things and talking to them. At times it works. The first time, the second time, but the beauty, don't give up. Because at the end of the day, you are accountable to the business, because as a HR person, one of the key roles is to give advisory to the senior people. So Winnie, I hope I've attempted to answer you, whereby it is a responsibility, looking for a way to ensure that you get into that deep end and talk to them in a way that they get to understand. However, how you package your communication is what matters. Okay, so that is what I would respond, unless there's someone who'd want to add to that. And thank you for that. Any other question? Winnie, I hope I've attempted to answer your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Judith. On the chat, thank you for the presentation, Irene. Very informative and interactive. Looking forward to the second model. Thank you so much, Judith. That will be next week, same time. And like today, we started exactly at 8:30. So thank you so much. And I hope that even next week, we'll all be there. Winnie, thank you, saying welcome. I'm reading on the chats. A great informative session from Winnie. Thank you so much. Looking forward to the second module. Great informative. Thank you for the presentation. Jeremy, thank you for the presentation. So informative. Thank you. I appreciate. How do we access the notes for our own reference? And I'm sure for you, when you're logging into this training, there's some credentials that were sent to you. So you go to our website, and the password is always HR 2021. So you're able to access all this information. You're able to access even other trainings that had been taken. That is through our LMS platform. Also, you can go to the website, www.achrp. So if you Google, you will be able to get it. So you can always be able to get all these notes and even this training, because it's been recorded. So in case there's an area, especially like for Jeremy, when your net was going off, there's an area that you may have missed. Once you go to the website, you'll be able to see that. Wow, I love the comments. Thank you very much. I feel appreciated. Thank you. You're so a great team, very educative. Thank you, Irene. Looking forward to the next session. Thank you. Wow, you guys are awesome. Thank you. And I also really want to really appreciate you in a very, very special way. And if you allow me, I just clap for you for being a wonderful class. You really interacted. And when I'm sitting on this side, when you guys don't participate, it can be very demotivating. But with a class like this, with a virtual engagement like this, then I also feel that we are adding value to each other. And I also learn a lot. Like today, I've learned a lot. I've gotten like 2 stories that I can give and own them. The story of the engineer, the story of the ship, the engagements that we've shared, Jeremy, Judith, all these things that we are sharing. So kindly, I really do appreciate. Any other question? Any other question, guys? Like they say in a group, the last stage, the one they said the morning stage, the adjourning stage. So now we are that stage of adjourning. And that's why if I want to close the class, but I'm like, boy, I don't want to go, I still want to interact. So I think that's why they call it the morning stage, because you feel now a time has come, we have to say goodbye. And in case there's not any other question, once again, thank you so much. And we say we meet again next week, same time, 8:30 to 11:30, same time, same place. and we're going to have a great one. Anyone